Computer. All right. Welcome to Magic Without Fears. Yeah. Most academic scholars of esotericism are not practitioners, and even today, you would be at risk of admitting that you are. Way less so today than when I first got involved with the academic side in 2004, when I went to the ASE conference in East Lansing, Michigan, and there was open mockery of anyone who practiced these things. At the same time, when word got out that I might be a practitioner, I couldn't stop people from buying me drinks all night and asking to hear stories of my experiences. And after a few rusty nails, you tend to open up a little bit. I was only, the Golden Dawn Temple Tahuti that I ran had only just closed down the year before. So I was still very conditioned to not speak about such things. So I obviously didn't say much to anyone, especially as I was there getting into my PhD program with Nicholas Goodrick Clark. I didn't want to ruin my chances by coming off like a total, what's the word for, I don't know, what would you call a practitioner? I guess a heretic,
Right, yeah, because it goes against other people's set experiences, perhaps.
Academics have no problem with, they don't really have a problem with, if you say you talk to spirits and angels, that's a problem. But if you say but they have no problem with, you cannibalizing God's body, and drinking his blood.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That gives you everlasting life. Of course it does. Of course that gives you everlasting life. It's just as crazy as any other belief.
You're preaching to the choir over here, man. That was what got me into magic from the get-go. I'm like, what are these people talking about? What are these experiences that has made this so detrimental to these people's lives to change culture and civilization as we know it? That's why magic took me down that road to begin with, because I needed to have the experience for myself. And it's definitely life-changing. It shatters every reality that you ever thought was. And I've had that happen. It still happens time and time again. You think that you know things, really, and the more you delve in, the deeper you get into this path. It just breaks open these barriers for you and completely shatters what you thought you knew. Because the only way you're going to understand even the academic side of it is through experience, in my opinion. I'm not a scholar. I'm not an academic. I am in the sense that I do read these books and I try to get on a further understanding, but I also understand that most of these books and grimoires are people's journals that they wrote and they made for their own experiences. And that's all I was trying to aim for at the time, was hey, I need to know this stuff. That's just, what's it going to do? Kill me?
Yeah. When did you really start practicing, and what sort of does your practice look like these days?
Oh, dude, God, that is such.
You're on a podcast, right? I'm gonna.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, all right. No, I know, man. Come on, this is one of the podcasts that started me back into fully understanding, and then our interactions back with one another. Because I went through a long dark night, and okay, so basically it all started back in high school, back when I was about 16. Grew up with a Baptist mom that was I had that rebellious age where I was just wanting to burn shit down and just completely fuck up and let's do drugs. And, I was looking to just be a miscreant, basically. And, my mom would always be like, well, I'm going to pray for you because, blah, 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 you're going to burn. I was just like, well, fuck, I hope so. I don't want to bow down before any kind of God that's not going to approve of me just trying to live my life or express myself. So that kind of turned me. I would never say that I was an atheist, because deep down, even since childhood, or even in my cradle, dude, I still remember vivid dreams from my cradle of this invisible force that would always pull me back in, almost very protective. So I would never say that I was atheist. I would say that that point of view that my mom was trying to put on me was kind of like, I turned maybe agnostic. I don't know what the right word would be for it. I believed in something. I knew that something was always there. That eventually turned me on to like, I was hanging out with a Wiccan girl at the time. And like, I was like, well, you know, she's into this. Maybe I should look more into it. And then that turned me a bit more into Aleister Crowley. And then it pretty much all started with Crawley, dude, you know. Yeah, like it pretty much all started with Crawley, and reading his stuff was very obscure. And looking back from what I know now, I was like, why the hell did I start with this guy? Like, I mean, it took me about, you know, a few years to really just understand what the hell he was talking about. Okay. Now, my first authentic experience, I would say, with Magick, where shit actually hit the fan and changed my perception of reality, would be a blood ritual for my own initiation rite as a magi with a couple of circle friends that I knew around at the time, and my ex-girlfriend at that time. And we had done a self-initiation rite for me becoming a magi. And I basically gave my blood for the art, becoming one with the elements. And the very next day was Easter Sunday. And go, you know, so I was like, okay, it's time to go to church. It's time to go to Catholic church, right? And I just remember going to church, and I was there listening to the priest, and the priest was saying what he needed to say. This was a long time ago. I don't remember the exact words, but I remember a thunder cloud coming over the church and just kind of like just interrupting everything he was trying to say. And basically he stopped reading from the book, from whatever he was meant to read that day. And he was like, okay, what Jesus Christ has come to do, he has come to do. It is up to you now to earn your own salvation and to do things the way that you need to for your own sakes, basically, is what he was saying. And at that time, that's what I needed to hear personally as a magi, because I was like, okay, so what I'm doing is right. Basically, at that time, that's what I got out of it, you know. But I went after the church, after the ceremony had ended, after the mass let out, I walked outside and I wanted to talk to him, because I know that he knew something happened there with the clouds, and I could just, the energy was strange. It was different. It was something I wasn't particularly used to. Okay. Yeah. And so I wanted to talk to him. He ended up walking up to me, and then he asked me, what is it that I study? And I told him I study magi. And then he threw his arm around me and he was like, all right, brother. And I was just like blown, like, what? Because I didn't know what the fuck I'm doing. Well, you know, like waving shit. Like I was at that time, I was grasping for straws.
So your Baptist preacher sort of
this was Catholic.
Your Catholic validated your blood magic ritual.
No, not that. I didn't tell him about the blood magic ritual at all.
No, but
at all.
The results validated. The
right.
results.
Most definitely.
You were having fun, yeah. It's so funny how many people end up get led to Crowley through Wicca.
Dude, no shit. It really is. And I mean, this was the 90s. You're familiar with the 90s.
Well, yeah, in the early 90s, Crowley led me to Wicca, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Charles Gardner and everything, and how they made that whole thing.
Yeah, I was reading about Crowley in grade 8 for we all had to write a biography on someone, and I was hoping to shock the teachers, but they're all anthroposophists and study Rudolf Steiner, so they knew more about Crowley than I did, you know, which was a little weird to realize when, you know. So yeah, but yeah, I did. Wicca was more up my alley than Crowley, because I was doing my introduction to him was writing a biography about him. So I was reading the confessions and reading stuff about him, everything I could get from the local library, which was quite a bit of things, including a book written by his alleged son, not really his son, this guy, Amadou. Yeah, this guy named Amado Crowley wrote a book as if he was his son. And obviously I thought it was true at the time. And he talks about seeing Gerald Gardner and as a kid discussing magic with Crowley. But years later, I found out when the internet became a thing that was obviously fake. And but there was no way to know in the early 90s or the mid 90s. You wouldn't know. There's no way to check in on that sort of thing. So
No.
that's pretty funny. But I was writing his biography, so I was reading about his life, and a lot of that was his relationships. And even I remember, even as a 13-year-old, I was like, I don't think this dude is treating women the way we're supposed to. I wasn't sure though, because I was so young and not active in the romance department at all. No, the girls in my class were not going for a goth kid with long and black hair who spent every lunch hour sitting in the corner reading Anne Rice. I know, shocking.
Dude, I did the same shit in high school, and honestly, to tell you the truth, like I had girls that were interested, but I had no interest at all. They'd be like, "Hi, Gary." I was like, "What's up?" Like, dude, yeah. I was completely oblivious, honestly.
Yeah, that happened more grade 9, grade 10 when girls started getting interested in me, but I didn't notice.
Yeah, same shit.
Like this French exchange student was at my house and we were doing tarot, and she kept like touching my leg with her foot, and I just kept moving further back because I was like, oh, she doesn't have space to sit down. Like I didn't know what was going on. I was serious about the tarot, and so was she. So I was
right.
This is a good thing. Maybe my all male coven can get another member.
Jesus Christ,
magic, man. I wasn't
oblivious.
Yeah, also not interested. It wasn't a priority. Though I guess it would have been a priority if I had understood what I could do, what could happen, like how to date someone, how to I had no father, so
Oh shit, I'm sorry to hear. But yeah, no, that can make sense. My whole thing was I just wasn't interested as well. I was more concerned about self-growth and just trying to figure out what the hell I am personally, that took me a lot of time. So yeah. Practice wise.
What's the symbol behind you for the viewers at home? For those watching on YouTube rather than listening on the podcast?
That's Lucifer. That's the light bringer. That's Lucifer. The Leviathan or the Ouroboros wrapped around himself, swallowing its tail for infinity.
What's your thought on the whole Luciferianism?
Oh my God. My own personal gnosis or my thought on what's going on in the scene? Because that's a loaded question there.
Take it as you wish.
All right.
Tell us what interests you the most. What's what lights your fire?
All right. So Luciferian.
Because I don't use that symbol. Like I understand the role of Lucifer as a grimoirist,
right.
But I'm a Christian.
Dude, I claim I don't
put those symbols like on my wall aesthetically, for example. Like that's where my crucifix goes, where your Lucifer goes,
And to me, and like Frater, to me, it's the same thing.
Well, this is where it gets misleading to some people. They see the crucifix and they assume like you don't understand the darkness because all you do is look at the light. But that's
cute.
That's not, I mean, we've been over this. I went over this with Anima Noira, and that was a good one.
That was interesting.
She as far as a serious left-hand path practitioner goes, well, you can't ask for much more than one of E.A. Quetting's ex-girlfriends. That's one box checked. How serious is this person? Well, and two, I was praying that and she came to me. I was praying, because I bait people on Instagram when they talk about the left-hand path, especially when they say things that applies equally to the so-called right-hand path.
Dude, that's where I'm at. Right? Like, they just sling. And they really do. And I get it. I am not a Luciferian in a satanic aspect at all. As a matter of fact, I see Samael and Lucifer as like Horus and Set. Okay. And that being like, I mean, one is light, one is dark. I mean, that's just how I personally perceive it. That's how it's been revealed to me. And yeah. and my personal job, I get, and our duty as a magi is to bring both together in balance. I am to bring both light and dark to become one. I work with angels, I work with demons, what can be essentially considered demons. I like to call them daemons, spirits. I don't like to use really any kind of like derogative terms. And I mean, there are demons, there are things that like completely fuck with us, especially as magicians, you know, that get into our energy fields and that we have to like work with and balance out and kind of like, you know, banish from time to time if it doesn't serve us. But I mean, as far as Lucifer goes, to me, Lucifer is the light. To me, Lucifer is also the same thing as Christ. To me, Lucifer is Christ, light, consciousness itself, like Krishna. This blinding light. Like, I mean, when like Christ to me is all really, okay. And when Lucifer came through, when the darkness came in, and that's a whole we could go on to that too, because I mean, I was speaking to you about my daily rituals when I was getting back into practicing magic. We were going back and forth on Messenger for the longest time, and I was asking for, you know, greater invocations of the daily art, you know, the daily angel, and you gave me a list, like you gave me a you gave me the angel that was correspondent to the name of the god that I used for the greater hexagram of the greater hexagram. Okay, and
I'll take your word for it.
No, dude, you did. This guy, look at this.
I help a lot of people, man.
I know you do. But you definitely helped out my practice a lot.
I'm really glad.
And that's really what changed my whole outlook on everything, man, because I'm jumping to some storytelling time. Okay.
I'm just glad to hear I'm bringing Christians closer to Lucifer.
It's cute, right? It's cute. And you know, when I see all these people's posts and things like that too, it's funny. Like, we're all given our own personal gnosis, we're all given our own personal things, you know, like but you know what, this art, there's one thing that this thing has taught me, man, is like, we really don't know shit, and we're constantly figuring out how less we really know about a lot of it. Because I would laugh at this too if I were to hear myself about 3 or 4 years ago. All right. And yeah, I really would. But when you're actually in the circle and you're speaking to this, and you feel it in the depths of you, then you get synchronicities after synchronicities. You know what, you just go with it. You realize, man, like, I'm not going to resist this. And if anything, to me, the dark and the light are the same thing. It's the Ein Sof. It's something we can't really understand. All right. And it's beyond our comprehension, really. And that's what it taught me. But I mean, back to the whole, the greater hexagram where you helped me out. All right. This was interesting. So I was doing a lot of daily invocations from the Heptameron for the Latin invocations, using the greater hexagram of the ritual and the supreme invocation of the pentagram, pulling in the daily energies, like the daily archangels, and just getting massive visions, downloads, sigils, dream symbols, things like that. And the more and more I kept doing it, the place just started flooding with flies. All right. Like the place where I was at was starting to flood with flies. And I'm not talking about like, you know, we had like, you know, 10 or 12. I'm talking about like, no, I had to put up some fucking fly tape to catch these motherfuckers. All right. Like, it was
Breaking Bad style.
Dude, yeah.
Remember that episode? The Fly? What a great episode.
Yeah, bro. It was intense. It was very intense. And this is one of the experiences that just shattered what I had as reality, because I became abundantly clear that something was breaking in, something was trying to speak with me. And I was dating somebody at the time, and they had heard like brr, 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 like this, right? That's how spirits talk to you sometimes, right? And she had just gotten like a vision of a fly, right? And so, apparently Beelzebub was trying to get in touch with me. And so I didn't want anything to do with Beelzebub. I was like, oh, that's evil. That's the darkness. That's everything that's fucking against what, because at that time, man, I'm like, pretty I didn't see Beelzebub as a good spirit or whatever the hell, how I didn't perceive it correctly looking back. I saw something negative, something dark. I didn't do my history, my research, whatever. But I sat down eventually with this spirit. I busted out I had this Goesha mat, it has the circle with all the spheres of the Kabbalah within it, with the triangle. And I actually, when that came in the mail, I sat down and like opened up to this energy. And basically it just was like, hey, we welcome your light into the dark. And then when I had like done the dismissal, this was about a year and a half ago or something, I'd done the dismissal. I said, you are free to go in the name of Christ. And this energy in particular, my relationship with it anyway, he was like, oh, it burns. Oh no. Like, and I was like, it was in a funny kind of like funny manner. Like, it's very, very chilled out, very like, just, it basically told me I really don't know shit about what I'm doing at the time. And it really opened me up to a lot. And prior to that, during the Heptameron rituals, pulling through the greater hexagram, Samael appeared to me. And I mean, my ascendant sign is Aries. So that opened up certain things through reading the Picatrix and finding about, your HGA, and looking at, what your ascendant sign is and how important that is to energies that speak with you. Because I've always been drawn to Set, to Samael, to energies that were kind of rebellious, but at the same time also served the light. Like they were like, dude, we have a choice. And that,
I have no
to
idea.
me was,
No idea what you're talking about. I only have my ascendant is Scorpio, so I don't even understand this dark stuff at all.
No,
I do, of course.
I was like, this guy, look at you. I can see that you're joking.
Yeah.
So that opened me up.
Yeah, our ascendants are powerful. I found mine to be a bit more of a curse, though, than a blessing. But maybe I just don't fully understand it yet. Who knows?
Now you got me curious. You want to go into that?
Well, if you have a Scorpio ascendant, but your Sun, Mars, and Mercury are all in Aquarius, you're definitely going to be misunderstood, like heavily. And my ascendant's first degree is 0 degree Scorpio, so that's super hardcore, and it means that a lot you're going to be misunderstood. People are going to assume you are more like a Scorpio than an Aquarius, but you're not, right? So if you treat someone as though they're a Scorpio and appeal to them the way you'd appeal to a Scorpio, it's not going to work with an Aquarius. Like we're not like that. Aquarians are humanitarians. We're really into giving to the world, into self-sacrifice. We're not into like keeping secrets just to empower ourselves. Like that's all Scorpio stuff. But it doesn't jive with me at all. But I come off that way apparently, and always have, because the ascendant does govern a lot of our externalities. So I'm into the aesthetics and of the Scorpio darkness and sexiness and the secrecy and all the mysticism. But it doesn't, none of that stuff actually plants in my sun, in my soul, in my sun, right? Or in Mercury or in Mars. So it doesn't even show up in my behavior, my actions, or my thoughts, right? It just doesn't.
I would have never guessed that with you either, Frater, honestly.
You wouldn't have guessed what?
I wouldn't have guessed that people would assume this of you unless they don't know you.
Yeah,
Because you've
well,
been
that's yeah,
nothing
how
but,
first impressions, right? You know, first impressions. You know,
yeah, which is bullshit. Look
it's
beneath the
just it's
surface.
been an interesting, you know, it's an interesting thing to have as an ascendant. Aries is a fun one as an ascendant. Like I bet that has something to do with your fitness routine because
Bro.
you know half your videos are you lifting heavy things and putting them back down. To
Yeah.
quote my favorite comedian Dylan Moran, without moving them anywhere. You know, and as he says,
I
that
love it.
seems a little dim at first glance. You lift up the heavy
Dude.
thing and then you put it right down and you didn't move it anywhere. A little dim. He was talking about Schwarzenegger in that bit
I love it. I
in
love
his
it. No,
underpants.
I love it.
And then
No,
he's
it
like,
makes perfect
that's how we
sense.
decided that's the guy who should run our state and our water rates and income inequality and, you know, be the governor. Right. The guy who lifts heavy things in his underpants.
All aesthetics,
It's
right?
very inspiring to see your commitment to your fitness routine and workout routine and all that stuff. Yeah.
Appreciate that. That
Yeah.
changed
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
changed
You
my
got the
life.
guns, right? You got the guns.
Oh, hey,
Yeah. Yeah. If people don't, if they don't aren't on your Instagram, they don't understand. Like those are crazy guns. Yeah. But
it's
power to you,
dude,
man. Yeah.
that changed my life, honestly.
Really, tell me about that. Working out. So you weren't always a fitness buff.
No,
No.
hell no.
Oh, fucking tell
Not
me the
by
story, man.
dude. Oh, okay. So basically, after a long, huge, dark night of the soul of me getting lost to drugs, and that's a whole story unto itself. But I mean, I basically spent about 10, 12 years being just completely um, self-loathing, stuck in a huge meth cycle, speed, whatever. Dude, I mean, I was prescribed Adderall. Um, After all of that, and finally after the dust had settled, because I had some few minor setbacks too with my dad passing away and me going back into those previous patterns. I just had a dream, dude, one night, man, because I mean I was fat, dude. I was like 320 plus pounds. um I mean, and it's funny too. You think meth head, right? You'd be skinny as shit, right? Now, let me tell you something. Like when you do those drugs for as I would do them, and I would crash out. My body would just crash out, and it would just have enough. I would do them so much that I would stay up for a few weeks, and then go raid the fridge, and then just go back to sleep. That doesn't that doesn't mean that you're gonna get skinny doing that shit. No, like I packed on a lot of weight. I was constantly always trying to get off it too towards the end there. And basically, after all that whole mess that I had with that whole addiction, I had about 9 months. I was living with my mom at the time after my dad had passed away, and I just kept dreaming. I just kept sleeping, dreaming, thinking about the last time I was really happy, man. And the last time that I was really happy, I was in high school. I was thin. I was working out a lot. I was eating healthy. I was doing right. And I was like, well, what's you going to do to get back there, motherfucker? What are you going to do? You know? And I was like, well, you're going to do something, because this shit isn't going to change. You're not, you're not going to change. This is going to continue to bother you. All right. So do something. Bring out that Mars energy and fucking make that shit active, dude. So I got a gym membership to Planet Fitness, and it started off very slow. It started off with me doing a lot of cardio in the beginning. Um, my diet hadn't quite changed to the point where I needed it to. And side note, this is what's funny. This is what really changed, and to a lot of different. This is what just basically changed my life, was my diet, my nutrition. Um, I did a ritual, man, back then, and like, dude, when you do magic, man, this shit's just embedded in you. All right, I don't care how fucking far you are along. Like it could be 10 years later, you still know it. It's still in your blood. Like it's a part of you. All right, and you know that. I could tell by the way you just made that face.
Well, I left I moved on from one of the largest active functioning Golden Dawn type temples that's ever been. You know, it's definitely was one, a fully active temple of over 100 people, and went from there into academia, more into academia and then music as well. And a lot of people just assumed that I'd given up on magic and it was just a fad when I was young. And I never understood that way of thinking. I'm like, isn't the point of learning all this stuff to take it to the streets and see what you can make of your life, you know? And so in 2005, that's what I did when I finished my MDiv at UBC. I was like, well, let's see what I can do in the world with everything I've learned up to this point. 25, and I started the doctorate and started playing music, which I had never really played music before, but I started playing professionally without any real training. So I was shit. I was so bad. Oh my God. Like, it's so painful. Like, I saw a brief VHS clip of my first gig ever, and I was like, and there was like thousands of people there too, because it was a St. Patty's Day event, on an outdoor stage type thing downtown. And it was like,
Nice.
it was so bad, but I just kept doing it year in, year out, sucking nonstop and never being invited back to play a second gig at all. But I didn't give up, and I kept getting better and better because it was trial by fire nonstop. And, I was doing what I could with my knowledge and skills from magic and everything else that I'd learned. And, 3 years later, I was opening for the Mothers of Invention. So, at North Country Fair. So I like to think like to me, that's still amazing, and, 10 years later, I was one of them, I was a very successful, popular musician in town and playing 6 nights a week, making, up to 10 grand a month.
Hey, dude, that's shit. That's good money. Damn. Yeah, that's some good money.
I might have to clip that so the tax people don't hear that.
Fuck it, whatever.
I bet I don't declare that shit.
No, that never happened, man. You were dreaming, bro. That was just a lucid dream. That's all. But I had done a ritual that day.
I guess if the tax people ever come at you, you just be like, "Yo, man, it was a podcast. Of course, it was bullshit." Bro, like Kamala Harris when she's like, "It was a debate. Of course, I was lying. It was a debate. Yeah. Meant to lie." It's like, really?
It was the ambient.
Called like Biden a pedophile or something, and then she's like, "Well, of course I did. It was a debate." It's like, but now you don't think he is, or you don't believe those women anymore? And she's like, "It was a." Oh God, you guys are so fucked.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I love it.
We're fucked too, but like,
dude, yeah, we're all fucked in our own ways, man. That's how we cope with it, I suppose. But the more we understand these things, the more fucked we realize that we really are. I'm blessed in that aspect because I don't realize how fucked I am. I haven't done the digging. But when I do a little bit of digging and I see what's going on, I'm like, oh, that's great. Terrific. But yeah, so back to the nutrition and everything. The ritual, basically, I wrote these words of like me just wanting sustenance from spirit, right? Kind of like a breath worker might want, so that way I could just decrease my intake of food. All right. So I put that in some water and drank it or whatever with the burnt ashes. And then all of a sudden I just watched Netflix and this fucking documentary appeared out of nowhere called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. All right. And I was like, what the hell is this about? All right. And then he went into depth about juicing, like juicing vegetables and fruit. Now, Frater, at that time, fuck vegetables, fruit, whatever. I tend to like, what if it didn't have pizza or potatoes in it? You can count me the fuck out, all right? But watching this documentary, especially after doing that ritual, what these rituals do to your subconscious, your unconscious mind, and things like that. It makes you think differently. That's what magic's supposed to do anyway. It's supposed to shift your reality and make you see things from a different angle. And so I watched this show, man, and it just, something about it just clicked. I was like, wait a second. This guy had dropped like 70 some odd pounds or whatever. And like, we just went to straight juicing these vegetables. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. Count me in. Fuck it. I'm experimental. Let's go get a juicer. Let's start getting let's get kale. Let's get cucumber. Let's do all. And I'm telling you, man, when I first drank the first sip, man, I gagged. Like, fuck, what is this? This is gross. But the cells in my body lit up, like sparked. You know, when you're in deep ritual and you feel the little tingles go up your back, and then your hairs shoot up on end and shit because you're in touch with whatever, you know. That's how my body felt when the nutrients went into my cells, into my body, and that changed everything, man. I don't even like, I juiced so much during that period of time for about, I would say, close to a year. Doing an alkaline diet, dude, I had the most astral projections, lucid dreams, just, dude, so many different experiences through that type of weight loss. Like, when it was all said and done, at the end of it, I had dropped 120 pounds, and that was, dude, I was thin, you know, but it got to the point where I was like, man, I'm too thin. I look like a little bitch. Like, I was like, what's going to happen if I get a girl, right? And like, she could pick my ass up. I'm not going to feel too masculine at that point, man. I was like, I got to switch it up. And so I switched it up. And I mean, that eventually led back into more protein, more meats and stuff. And I will say this for all the listeners out there: alkaline diet involving vegetables, fruits, and a lot more of those raw whole foods is going to feed your subtle body, is going to give you more experiences with astral projection. Because I haven't had an astral projection in, I mean, I can astral project while I'm lucid, you know, because I mean, I'm more in tune with that body itself. But I mean, for those who aren't and that are just getting back into it, the alkaline diet through raw whole foods, dude, that shit it's on point. It really makes your body a lot lighter. It really just opens you up to those other dimensions. Like, dude, I I don't know how to describe it other than, you know, try it for a month, you know, try it for a month. If that shit don't fly, then fuck it. Maybe that's not it for you. Because there's one thing I've learned through getting my certificate in nutrition, getting my certificate in personal training, is that everybody's different. We all like, one person's diet is not meant for another person's diet. And like, a lot of these fad diets are lacking macronutrients for the body. Certain people have certain deficiencies within their bodies. And I'm pretty sure, like, you know what I'm talking about, because I've heard your podcast as well. And yeah, a friend of mine has something very similar, well, where he has to eat meat and things like that. So
I might have to try like the lion thing at some point, just because just things don't, like, my symptoms, like, you know, yeah, like my hands are bleeding all the time from psoriasis and stuff. And I've been trying everything for years, you know, and I make little headway here and there. You know, I make sure, like, you know, just got my multivitamins again today, you know, take that stuff, take the D3 6,000 IU twice a day, take the zinc and calcium and magnesium before I go to bed. And you know, I might try omega-3s for the skin at some point again, but apparently they're bad for other things. When you have multiple issues, it's really tricky. Ugh. And then there's the fact that, like, our doctors don't know shit about this stuff, right? Like,
dude, do your own research on Google, bro. I'm telling you, with these supplements, with these supplements too, man, there's a certain amount of the actual ingredient that you need in order for it to be effective. And the thing is with a lot of these supplements, man, it's not FDA approved. So they go around and they just throw whatever the fuck in there. And like, you don't know if you're getting the right amount or not. And you have to really dig to find out what's the right amount of each one of these for me to get the daily recommended dose. And that's one thing that's just, it's fucked, especially in the fitness industry, because you could go ahead, dude, with the supplements that we have, especially like with whey protein and the supplements that we have with pre-workouts and shit, you could literally go around and say this product has been scientifically tested and it's been approved by this lab and this, what, dude, Muscle Tech is one of the hugest ones that I red flag for great reasons, because it's got gold medal here, fucking this over here, that. None of that shit matters because none of it is FDA approved. Nobody's done the research, and you're basically stamping fucking bullshit on a label so you can just get your shit sold. Well, and that to me is like, dude.
This preacher said if I drink gold water, I'll be saved.
Oh, is that like urine showers?
Don't they sell water with gold in it or something? I think you have less. I think you might have laxer rules than we have in Canada, or maybe it's just the fact that we don't get product. We can't sell products that aren't labeled also in French, so a lot of your products don't make it up here.
What,
dude? That's why we have like 20% of the selection you have in the States. Because, and a lot of the reason for that is because the companies would have to put French labeling on it as well as English.
Oh God.
That
just takes me back to watching episodes of South Park in like the French Canada. Ring ring.
Oh yeah, so good. We loved that. I mean, our theaters were packed with the South Park movie. I remember back in the day, we loved that shit, man. Plus it justified us, talking trash about you guys more, like you guys giving Academy blame Canada or whatever, and like
blame Canada.
Yeah. we got the War of 1812, that song. Have you heard it?
No.
Oh, you want it? So the chorus goes like this: and it burned, 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 and we're the ones that did it. It burned, burned, burned as the president ran and cried. It burned, 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 and things were very historical. And the Americans ran and cried like a bunch of little babies. Wow, wow, wow! In the War of 1812, bum, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, dum. In 1812, we were just sitting around, minding our own business, putting crops into the ground. We heard the Yankees coming and we didn't like the sound, so we took a boat to Washington and burned it to the ground. And it goes on and on. It's a great song.
That's perfect.
Yeah, but Americans tend to not like to hear it sung, I've noticed from gigs.
Dude, hey,
even if we sing Blame Canada first and mash it up.
Listen, man, I didn't choose where the hell I was going to be incarnated at or who was going to be, or maybe I did. Who knows? Hey, man, put me down here.
Who knows? Move on from the health stuff. What's your take on the collagen stuff? Everyone's into these athletic greens and multi-collagen and all of that sort of stuff. And let me get your opinion on that, because I have joint issues. But I also don't trust what my doctors say up here. Like right now in Canada, for example, my doctors still will tell me celiac disease does not exist, which is their words. It does not exist. But if I then say, can we take a look at my uterus because I might want to have a baby at some point, they legally can't tell me that I don't have a uterus as a female man or whatever. Because we have these crazy laws now. So if I decide to say something wackadoodle like that, they have to take me seriously. Because it's like, if you don't use someone's pronouns in Canada, it's against the law and you can be fined $30,000.
What? Wait, no. What? You lost me on that, motherfucker. I don't know.
Yeah,
what to
you
say
guys need to
that.
pay more attention to what's going on up in Canada. It's way more exciting. Way more exciting than this this merry-go-round of Trump and the Clintons and the Bushes that you guys have going on. Like, it's the same shit over and over, right?
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, check out some of the Canadian wackiness now that you guys are more familiar with. The trucker thing gave you guys sort of an inroad into understanding our issues, I think.
That shit threw me off, man.
You guys didn't realize we had quite as many issues as maybe we do. Yeah, you guys
not at all, dude.
Like, no, we got issues, man. But we're Canadians, so we just don't talk about it much because, The
only way I knew about that was my friend on Facebook, Azariel Flame. I don't know if you have him on there, but he's a big part of the community that we're all into. That's one thing I've noticed about the community we're into as Magic, you know, so everybody knows this person, this person, this person. The authors know each other and everything. That's what. But I saw him posting about that shit about these truckers, and I was like, what the fuck is going on there? Did that even happen though? That did happen,
yeah,
right?
man. Yeah, I actually was walking to my friend's house to play D&D when they were leaving Vancouver, and all the like wine moms and stuff were on the side of the street giving them the middle finger and cursing them out, and I was like, what is going on? I have no idea. And these women are like, oh, these Nazis, blah blah blah. I'm like, these truckers are like, there's just this line of truck going through downtown, blocking up all the roads and causing quite a disturbance in Vancouver as they headed to the East Coast. And I couldn't believe, I was like, really? And then someone was like, they're protesting the border, you know, the mandates for the border and the vax mandates for the border. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know if that makes you actually a Nazi, but you know,
Right? Yeah. No shit.
you
Dude,
know,
that's fucked,
like,
man.
you know, that's sort of disrespectful to the people who are still alive, not to mention those who are dead, who had to deal with real Nazis.
Dude,
Like,
that's nuts.
you know, the hyperbole, I mean, it's fun, but we could back off on it a little bit, right?
Maybe. Yeah. No, it sounds like we could for sure.
Just a skosh.
It's good.
Just a
Yeah, it's
skosh.
good times. It's honestly, dude, it's really good times we're living in, man. Like this all goes back to light and dark too, man. Like, I had become so addicted to the gym at the time before Corona hit that my ass was so busy. I would be working all the time, going to the gym, working 6 days a week, gym, dude. So when Corona fucking hit, man, and the gyms are down, guess what? You don't have a job. I had to sit with my shit. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I had to sit with my shit. All right. And that scared the living fuck out of me because it opened up a whole network of shadow that I had to deal with. And when I mean shadow, I'm talking about my thoughts, things that fucked with me, things that kept me awake, things that I hadn't really sat down and listened to within myself because I was, you know, I was using, look, I mean, just mention I've been a drug addict, you know, pretty much huge majority of my life. The gym turned into that drug. Okay. And I mean, it still is to this day. I can admit that, you know, that's where I go to get my serotonin. That's where I go to get my feel good drugs. You know, that's where I go. That's what I do. But at that time, I didn't know what to do with myself. I lost my shit, man. Literally lost my shit. Went into a bottle of fucking alcohol on a daily basis, basically. Because guess what? You know, guess what is open, motherfucker? Hey, there's some liquor stores for you. You know what? We're here. Fucking great.
Are you saying during lockdown?
Yes.
Yeah.
During lockdown. Lockdown opened me up to my own darkness, man. My own shadow, the things I've tried to avoid within myself, man. The holes that I'm trying to fill. And who isn't, man? Every last motherfucker on this earth's doing this same. Yeah, we all have these things, okay? And I understand that, you know, and I'm very receptive of that as well, and very understanding of those. But on a personal level, it really opened me up to a lot of things that I needed to heal within myself, a lot of things that I needed to change. Okay. And, dude, I during that time I went through, I mean, I turned full blown alcoholic then I realized what I was doing. I cold turkeyed that shit, man. And,
you know,
and when I
something just occurred to me, you know, normally when you hear about someone who's like had a serious problem with like things like this, like you're talking about, like meth, not an easy drug to kick, I'm guessing.
No, hell no.
I mean, I
especially when you know how to cook it. yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah,
and that shit's cheap as fuck to cook too. Let me tell you.
I'm actually just rewatching Breaking Bad right now, so I'm digging it. I dig it. It's such a good show. But
it
anyway,
really is, man.
What's interesting, I realized, is when normally if I hear a normal person talk about their having, you know, gone from being You know, if someone's like, I was a fat meth head, and now I'm a, you know, buff as fuck, and you know, like, you know, and have nutrition certificates and all this shit, and I'm, you know, if you normally hear that, you're like, wow, good for you, man, fucking good for you, right? Like, well
Appreciate
done.
you.
But when I hear someone like you talk about that, I'm completely unimpressed. When I hear someone who I know is a magician be like, yeah, I was a meth addict, then I was alcoholic, but I was like, I realized what I was doing, so I became a super buff fitness guy and turned my life around. When I hear a magician say that, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
like,
dude. No,
well done,
yeah,
good for you. It's like, yeah, of course, you're a magician. Of
you're
course,
gonna
of
you're gonna
course you fix
fucking
this shit.
change.
You
Yeah,
know, I mean, you
dude.
can go many directions, and you know, programs are not a bad thing, but there's also the magical program of self mastery.
Yes,
You know,
and that's the one, really,
and if you're doing
honestly.
ritual work that requires you to like fast on bread and water and abstain from even masturbating for at least 3 days before an operation, it's pretty hard to be an addict.
Dude, yeah, that's true.
It's,
That's
you know,
true.
you're like, okay, I can be an addict from the 3rd to the 15th, then from the
Discipline.
21st to the 26th, but the rest of the month I'm booked. I can't do it. And your dealer's just like, I
Yeah,
just want,
please.
just how much? You're like, no, let me calculate this again. I might even have fewer days to be a meth head. Let's see, right? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work.
Discipline. It really just boils down to discipline, man. And it would, honestly, that's another thing about the lifestyle through Magic and through the gym and everything that taught me, dude. Like, discipline. If there's things going on in your life that you know that you need to change, that you know that you need to tweak, that you know that you need to work on, sit down, journal that shit, man. I've got books that I fucking journal, dude. Like, write it down. What are you going to do to change that? Because if you know that there's something wrong in your life and you something that you're unhappy with, what, you're the magician, you're the fucking mage, you're the mage. What are you going to fucking do to make that shit happen? And like, to me, doing the magic, doing my daily practices, doing the things that I do, bringing light to dark and balancing the two in between has changed my life. I know what I need to do. I take the action to do those things. And honestly, I just become better and better person each time. And dude, it takes me through, it takes all of us through some shit to get there, you know? But that's what makes it worth it. That's what makes the work, the great work, worth it, is that it's going to take you down through chaos, through shit you're not used to, through some very uncomfortable situations for you to get where you need to get. And, you know, and basically boiling it down, left hand pat, right hand pat, whatever fuck pat. I don't believe in that shit, man. I got both hands. I'm not fuck. I didn't get an arm chopped off. I'd use both.
Well,
All right.
it's cultural appropriation from Tantra, right? You know,
Dude, fucking A. There you go.
when next time people are like right hand path, left hand path, be like, sorry, I don't know Tantra very well.
Right. Yeah.
Just, you know.
I'm ambidextrous, let me tell you. But if you're not, if this path isn't changing you for the better and like bringing you into being a better person and basically just changing you, then I don't see what's the point. Why are you doing it? That's my biggest question to any practitioner that's out there. Why are you doing it? Why are you continuing to do it? If you're asking for the same thing on a daily basis, what are you doing to bring that thing into your reality? Because in my experience, that's the only way spirits, energy, you're going to bring that into your reality. Even if you don't believe in that, if say, you know, you believe in the deific masks or whatever the hell, like say you believe in, well, you know, say you're an atheist magician, whatever, don't believe in any of it. Okay, what are you going to do to make that happen? All right, like it's basically this is one thing, and I'm not going off on a tangent here. I know I'm kind of ranting. There's like something that Jason Miller and kind of like Aiden Walker spoke about, spirits being the wind behind your cells. All right, it's like you do the magic. You ask for these things to come into your reality. And when they see you putting the work in to bring that, what you asked for, into your reality, that's, the spirits are kind of there to push you in that direction. And that's been my experience for sure, man. Whether it be celestial, terrestrial spirits, it's just, that's what's shaped and changed my life. But I will say, on a celestial aspect, when I'm speaking about angels, I do notice a difference when I'm pulling that energy in versus like a terrestrial spirit, man. Like, I feel like when I'm pulling in a celestial spirit, I feel so much more fucking drained. Like,
Oh, really?
just, dude, you've got to know. I mean, you've done this for fucking years. I mean, when you pull in those angels, it's like a huge part of you is just getting sucked, because you're going way out there into the higher realms to pull that energy in.
We might be using slightly different techniques.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear your technique for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I use a variety, right? I use a mixture of, scrying in the spirit vision and traveling in the spirit vision, of course. And I focus more on Enochian than Solomonic, largely due to circumstances these days. And so that's a bit more, the focus is less on going out. I mean, that's not what I think when I hear you describe going out to the spirits or to celestial entities and feeling drained after. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That would take some unpacking maybe. But usually I feel incredibly charged up after these things, not drained.
Oh, dude, after, for sure. Now, like,
during, I guess it can be draining. I mean, there is,
yes.
there's some drain.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yes, like, and I've come to understand, like, that's where electrolyte levels come into play. And through discussing this with a Magick with Azrael Flame, he's really a good friend of mine. He was saying that he had done some research on the electrolyte levels when doing magic, and saying if your electrolytes are like completely full, like they're going to be depleted as shit, especially after certain magical rites and ceremonies doing the magic.
Interesting.
And I was, dude, that shit threw me. Yeah, I was very interested.
So what's the best way to get back electrolytes? I assume it's not actually Gatorade.
No, fuck no.
The fact that that's what all the commercials tell us leads me to be suspicious.
Sugar. No, it's fucking trash. Yeah. Best way to get electrolytes is anything with like
white sugar.
Yeah, no. yeah, that'll work. Go ahead, let's do that.
Okay. Let me pause the recording. I'll go do that right now.
Right.
Yeah.
No, actually potassium, magnesium, anything with a lot of sodium in it. Like sodium, like margarita. Is also another. Dude, hey, I'm down. And that's gonna dehydrate your ass, it's like, let's do it. No, you want to be hydrated, you want to be like, and that's another thing that's going to replenish your electrolytes as well. It's BCAAs in EAAs, essential amino acids also is going to help with that.
Okay, so what would I take? Because if I do feel dehydrated, I actually do get a Gatorade. Or I'll get there's these rehydrating crystal packs. They're like the vitamin C packs, but they're for electrolytes. Like
that might work.
Like energy.
That might work.
Yeah. So but it's expensive. It's not cheap. It's not expensive. It's just not, there's got to be a better way to do it anyway than some like packaged, like it's so commercial. It makes me think it's got to, what's the best way to get electrolytes back in your body when you're depleted? And honestly, put it in layman's terms, because the things you said before, I didn't even know what you're talking about. No, I have no basis for understanding that.
All right. So I would say, like, maybe a potassium, a magnesium supplement, any kind of branch chain amino acid.
What's a branch chain amino acid?
Okay, so a branch chain amino acid is like the essential amino acids like L-leucine primarily that goes to your body. That's
And how do you get that?
You could get that through meat. You could also get that through supplement as well.
You like just look for supplements, branch chain. I bet there's some
Yeah.
people out there be like, yeah, let's recharge our electrolytes after ritual. I mean, especially if
Yeah.
you're doing like physically intensive ritual, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of doing like middle pillars in a variety of difficult yoga postures. It's one of my personal
See, yeah, that's one thing I need to get back
delights.
into.
Well, a lot
But
of what we did, a lot of like that in our order, with different forms of holotropic breathing. Like that was nonstop for us for like 7 years. Intense holotropic breathing methods, and yogic postures, or to amplify the middle pillar exercise. It was very big with us. So yeah,
dude, oh, I love that middle pillar exercise.
you
I
can do a
really,
lot
I
with it,
really,
man. You can do a lot
you
with it.
really, dude, yeah, you can. But primarily, what it did for me was open up those energy chakras within my body to just align the lower and the higher, bringing in like a whole energy field that's just surrounded by light. And that to me, like, caused this huge shield to just kind of be brought into my vision. It was nice. It was really nice because it left me feeling like very light, very like buzzing and humming by the end of it. Um, yeah. So bringing in just kind of, it was almost just like breathing in the the tree of life into your body. Pretty much is what it's kind of doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very self-explanatory ritual. Plus, the best way to know what it does is just to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly. But I do believe that the breathing technique, um, upon each mantra that you use upon that holy name and breathing it into each specific energy center, that's I think was what made it for me so effective. Um, because that's just what opened me up a lot more to the energy centers within my being and kind of brought it all out and expanded my energy field. It also left me open to a lot of outside energy too, like whether it be through spirits. Now, when I say spirits, I mean you're a spirit. I'm talking about the guy next door that lives next to me. That's a spirit. I mean, anybody really, man, because it just opened me up to a lot more. It made me a lot more empathetic, is what I could say, because I could feel a lot more energy coming from other people, and I could kind of just feel them. Sometimes, dude, my shields would be so lowered that I could walk right into somebody who was just having a shit show of a day and completely like freak out because I could feel their fucking energy, man. And I was like, damn, what am I going to do about that? I'm going to need some other magic here, to block me off from something else. I don't need to absorb this much, this much. Cause damn, that shit left me pretty open, man, to be honest with you. And I was doing a lot of, I think I was doing supreme invoking rituals, the hexagram ritual. I would be doing the middle pillar, and I'd be doing the middle pillar throughout the day. And it would just open my subtle body up so much that I could feel the energy all around me. I was working at a hotel at the time. I could feel the energy from the first floor, on the second floor, all the way up to the third floor. And I was just like, fuck. It just opened me up. I don't know. I don't want to say too much, maybe, but yeah, probably too much. And not to mention, I would take some shrooms and I'd be doing that job too. So good times, man. It was a good job back when I was in Florida. Oh yeah. So electrolytes.
I was at the store before this, and you were joking about getting high for the podcast, which I've done in the past. And
I know, I heard
I
you.
decided not to. I was at the store, and next to that store, there's a corner store, and they sell mushroom kombucha just down on the beach at this store.
Psilocybin?
Yeah. We have.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but I didn't get it because it's a big mason jar of kombucha with a gram of psilocybin in it. But it's like $20. I was like, yeah. Plus, I'm not really a low dose. Like, I don't mind microdosing mushrooms. That's very helpful. But by microdosing, I mean taking so little you don't consciously notice it. I
Right.
mean, even if you took a speck, I would consider that a microdose because your body knows it's in you. It's still there.
Yeah.
Like it's in your system. It's just it's like a homeopathic amount almost. But like I don't like small doses, like 1 or 2 grams. Like it just because I don't get into it really, even if I take like the powerful penis envy ones or whatever. It's still
Oh,
I need like 3 to 5 grams to really have an experience that's worthwhile. Otherwise, it's just a lot of strain on my body for not much of an experience. And just sort of being 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like,
yeah.
what's the point?
No,
No,
I'm the same way, dude.
I like
Honestly.
you know, and most of my friends who are like my friend Thomas Hatsis, he has a book called Microdosing Magic on Amazon, and he's a witch, right? And he's a good historian of entheogens and all that. And I was like, do you do a lot of these rituals? Did you do all these rituals microdosing? And he's like, no. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, no, I do heroic doses. But the book's still about how to do these rituals
Microdosing.
microdosing. But yeah, most of us who do it, like, no, we're like about
Balls in or all out. That's it. Like,
well,
what's you gonna
but you
do?
don't want to start off that way. You need to know the terrain you're going into. You need to know how to flow with it. Otherwise, you can get really, really messed up.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, no.
you gotta, you
I had
gotta,
an
you gotta
experience
learn
with
that.
that.
Yeah.
Most definitely. No, but don't get me wrong. The experience was great. I don't recall these type of mushrooms. They were fucking tiny. All right, it's tiny as shit. I don't do. They were different colors and everything. And come to find out, the guy that sold them ended up going to a psych ward after. But the girl I was with at the time and me, we were taking so many of these things, dude, that like I ended up starting to freak out. And like then I saw like a vision of, I call her the bone lady. All right. She's kind of like my ancestor, I guess, through my lineage that just kind of comes into my play and starts like just doing her little like, I don't know, what I, but I'm sure we all get that, right? Those who practice. And I could feel her like just kind of like shaking out these shadows that were integrated into my DNA, into my bloodline, that I'm just like, I felt them kind of like being pushed and more pushed and more pushed away, but they just kept coming in because of how many shrooms I had taken, man. And I was like, holy fuck, I gotta shut this shit down. Like that you all the spiders and all the fucking, all the serpents coming in. Nah, like that's enough. You're good. We're good for right now. Let's shut it down. And then I shut it down, and then like that's when like, dude, colors started coming in, the golds, the purples, and then just like the sigils, and it's just everything was symbolic, dude. And I mean, man, when these sigils come in, you know how they come. You practice. When these sigils come in, sometimes, especially when you're on those huge doses, dude, like they're fucking intense. They're huge. And like, I would love for me to get meditative enough to the point where I could freeze some of these things so I could like write them down, because dude, some of the ones that come through, I'm just like, how the fuck am I going to remember that shit, man? Like I'm not, so like, I mean, some of the spirits that I work with, they know that. And so sometimes they'll come in, like today I had through doing my daily ritual, I had one come in and then give me a very simple sigil that, dude, it's the way that these spirits speak to you, man. It's just like, what the fuck are you trying to tell me? Especially when you're when you're on those huge doses like that. It's like, that something's coming through, and when something's on a huge level too, because usually the downloads are just that much more intense, but in that experience, man, with all the shadows coming through, I had to surrender to Christ, and I always do every time. And that, Horus, Lucifer, Christ, to me, it's the same thing. And I know it's funny to a lot of people too, that, oh, fuck that, I don't believe in whatever, I don't care. But my own experience, through time, Christ, I'm just going to say Christ, because Christ to me has knocked back every fucking thing that ever held me back, ever. I use the word Christ, come help me, man. And then I feel that shit just, dude, it's KO. It's fucking over. Like, I don't really care what you believe, man. Like, anybody out there, like, Christ to me is everything. You know, either you want to call that Horus, Krishna, whatever, Lucifer, whatever, you know, whatever Christ, whatever energy resonates with you that much, that has that much power, that's going to push back everything that fucks with you. That to me is Christ. All right. I don't know. There's been so many arguments, especially in the occult community, about what is this and what is that and what is what not. Like, it all boils down to personal experience. It all boils down to personal gnosis. It all boils down to, when are you at your absolute fucking worst? When you feel like life cannot push anything more onto you, where you're down on your knees crying out to everything that exists. You don't even know, like, you're so lost that you don't even know who to cry out to anymore. That to me is Christ. And that's the same energy that came to me, that got me off of meth, that got me off of drugs, that got me off of everything. And to me, it's the light. To me, it's the dark, because I went through the fucking dark to find that light.
You know the poem that starts off, "Who, if I cried out, would hear me among the angelic orders"?
No, I don't.
It's a good one. You should look it up. It's in Duino Elegia. I don't know how people pronounce it in English. Duino Elegies. Duino.
You're gonna have to say.
It's actually how it's written. Duina Elegies. In German, it's Duina Elegia. Wer, wenn ich schrei, hört mich in der engelische Ordnungen, jede Engel ist schrecklich. The next line after "who would hear me among the angelic orders," the next line, well, this is Rilke. The next line is, "every angel is terrible." Yeah. Jede Engel, jede Engel ist schrecklich. Schrecklich is more fear, though. Schreck is fear. So schrecklich is like fearful, or fear, like I think the sense would be fearifying, but we don't have that. And fearful is not quite accurate in English. It misleads you. So terrible is also not ideal, but terrifying, that could work. Every angel is terrifying. But terrible's good. Just schrecklich.
Es ist schreck, yeah.
Schrecklich. You can also say schrecklich means when things are going badly. You know, like, how's your marriage going? Schrecklich.
Oh, es ist schrecklich.
Schrecklich, yeah.
Dude, no, my God.
Kauf zu viel.
The most terrifying experience. The most terrifying experience I had with an angel had to have been Casio, on the angel of Saturn. Yeah. And to me, that this is death. Like, and when I sat in the circle, or just evoking, the energy that filled the room was just so nothing. Yeah, there's no, you don't feel anything. Like, you know, when somebody close to you has died, and you know that feeling where there's an emptiness inside of you, that's just like a pit of your being has just been ripped out from you. That's what I felt with that particular angel. And this angel, I mean, it's death. I don't know. You could call it by many different names in many different cultures, you know. To me, like Azrael and Samael, but they both have aspects of this death energy. But it's like, I felt this nothingness, man. And so you bringing up that terrible, every angel is terrible.
Every angel is terrible.
It just brought me back to that experience, sitting there in front of death or Saturn. You know, it's just like, fuck. But you know what, man? One thing I've learned from Saturn in particular, and I know we've gone back over the Holy Daimon with, you asked for my experience reading that book, and get to give you a full review on Frater Hrncir's book on the Holy Daimon, because I know he had an experience with Saturn as well, and his experience was completely different. You know, but everybody's is going to be different depending on who they are. But my experience with Saturn, I gotta say, Frater, it was liberating, because it really gives you an appreciation for life. How the fuck are you gonna know how precious each second and each breath is upon this planet if you don't know how lingering and how looming your life really is with death right above you. And death watches over every single last motherfucker on this planet. So, like, by looking and sitting there in front of the face of death, I gotta say, it gave me an extreme appreciation for life and for the seconds that I have with the ones that are close to me. And I mean, that right there is magic in itself. It taught me how to just really appreciate every moment, to not live in fear, to not be anxious about things that are going to happen in this life. Because you know what? Every second's a blessing, man. You know, whether you see it as a negative, whether you see it as a positive, whatever, they both balance each other out eventually. Because, you know, you don't know what a positive experience is without having a very shitty one.
Preach.
I don't know. All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Bathroom break over. Yeah, man. Where do you live?
Dude, I moved from Florida to Dallas.
Dallas. You're in Texas, man. Cool. Maybe we'll hang out then maybe we can hang out when I visit. You know, that's my my next trip.
Austin.
It could be a while before I can get across the border and return.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to get this app that tracks me everywhere and is basically a social credit system in framework. Like, I know we're already on it in Canada. Like, I don't have to, I say this all the time because people don't realize how close it is, but like, I don't have to identify myself when I call my bank anymore. They can tell it's me by my voice.
Wow.
They don't have to confirm my ID. It's confirmed as soon as I call in and start speaking.
That's interesting.
I
don't know. That's kind of, yeah. How do you feel about that?
Well, how long till hackers start? Like, you know, like there's the famous AI system that those guys built using Joe Rogan's voice, so you can type in whatever you want him to say, and his voice says it because they have so much of his recordings, and it sounds like him. So you know, you can make him say whatever you want.
Dude, yeah, no.
And you can't tell the difference other than the fact he's like, yeah, when I was a chimp in my past life, I was taking tons of DMT when I lived in the colony on Mars. You know, you can tell it's not him because of the shit he's saying, but you know, if you wanted to really trick people, you can do it now. So like, yeah, the security issue is a strange thing. I don't know. You know,
right.
At the same time, there's something to be said about living in a place where you can probably, you know, not run out of food and electricity before you die. So you can sort of shack up in a place that's relatively more stable than other places and just live out your days. A lot of people, I think, are trying to do that at this point. You know, because you know, it's the best of times, it's the worst of times, right? It really is. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, honestly.
You know, we have a prime minister that believes that 9 million Canadians are all racist, misogynist because they didn't get the vax. Well, we only have 30 million people in Canada, so that's like almost a third of the country you're calling racist and misogynist because they wouldn't get the bleep. And well, I think you can say it now. YouTube changed their services. You're now allowed to say that the vax doesn't work, that masks cause COVID, that social distancing doesn't work. You can say all the things on YouTube now. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me, honestly.
It's just flip.
Especially, yeah, it's censoring, dude, honestly.
Yeah. So, you know, it's dark times, but also, like, you know, anyone here in Vancouver could just go drive Uber 13 hours a day and they'll make $8,000 a month. Even with our crazy rent prices, like it's $2,400 for a bachelor pad here. Even with our crazy cost of living here, $8,000 a month, you could save $20,000 a year, no problem. 5 years later, buy a place somewhere in a cheap place. You know, like that's not something you could do in other times, you know?
Dude, no shit. I literally just got my license back. You're trying to convert me to an Uber driver now.
Well, the reason they make so much here, I think, is because the concession to let Uber come into our city was to require Class 4 licenses. So that made it so that we don't actually have enough drivers. There's not enough Uber drivers. But it's, I like to think about that when I find myself thinking about how bad everything is, because it's pretty cool that you could just go do that. And, that wasn't an option like 100 years ago. You couldn't just go work 13 hours a day and clear 100K,
No shit. Yeah.
People worked much longer hours than that for very little 100 years ago.
Dude.
So pretty amazing what you can actually do if you want, if you're lucky.
No, it really, dude.
Live in certain places. I mean,
you just got to find out places,
if you live in Iraq, you're screwed.
God, fuck that, dude. I've heard stories, man.
Dude, they're I mean, your embassy just cleared out because of the violence and civil war type stuff. So
yeah,
it's really sad. I mean, really sad, man. No. It's fucking all these beautiful all the history and the architecture there that's been destroyed by ISIS and all that shit. Fucking makes me sick.
No,
what's
shit,
up with humans who don't?
Bro, dude, I don't know. I don't know.
What?
I do. No. Let's go destroy everything that is, our ancestors created, so we can forget everything that we've ever been through. I don't know. Nile, I'm a huge metalhead, right? So Nile made a song about that, call to destruction, back when ISIS destroyed all the monuments back in ancient Egypt, man. And I'm a huge Egypt dude. Egypt to me, then that's where my magic is, dude. When I fucking claim my self-worth and my self-power, dude, I go back to the pyramid text and the Amduat, and I look into the Book of the Dead and how to chapter to become certain things, I invoke the gods and become the gods. You know what I'm talking about, man. And when I fucking found out that ISIS just went in there and not naming themselves ISIS, it's dude, what the fuck? What?
Do you know about the did you hear my prophecy story?
No.
Yeah, well, I'll chastise you later for not having listened to every second of my podcast that I've put out. Dude, there's so many hours of this podcast. It's
no shit. You really did make a lot, this motherfucker. And man, when I was getting into it, I was like, okay, cool, I'm all caught up. Life caught up with me, and I had so many different fucking things happening. By the time I tried to catch up with you, I was like, okay, you've done Damien Eccles, man. That was one that I was like, holy shit, this guy sat there with Damien Eccles doing this, And because that's one huge. I mean, that guy. The shit he went through and the way that Magick changed his life in particular, that was eye-opening for me personally, honestly. Being wrongfully accused. Didn't he just have his trial and everything?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Not good.
Fuck.
Not good. I mean, legal, the law is broken there. Basically, there's a legal problem there with the way the law is. It wasn't written up to deal with a situation like his, because there had never really been a situation like his. So therefore, the law excluded his petition because he wasn't currently incarcerated. But he's one of the few people who's still considered to be guilty of this beyond heinous crime after 18 years on death row. He's free, but he's still guilty of it. They never fathomed, I'm sure the local people in that state, the lawmakers, never fathomed they'd be getting a challenge from someone on death row who for some reason is still guilty but free.
Yeah, no shit.
Who plans to let someone off death row go free but still be guilty? That's not a thing.
No, dude, yeah.
I'm just glad I didn't get canceled for interviewing him. I mean, most of the time when I interview people, I get messages after being like, you shouldn't have talked to that person, blah, blah, blah. There's always some hater for everyone who's like you. But, if I didn't talk to anyone then I couldn't talk to anyone because there's always someone who hates someone and stuff. So that's stupid. It's not my
That's
job to
bullshit.
vet people's souls. It's my job just to have a conversation, like you would have in, if we were two traveling wizards on the road and met in a tavern some dark and stormy night while the fiddler's playing his slow airs
Dude,
ballads. You and me
that's
are sitting and having a mead in the corner, and that's the idea behind this podcast. Is like, let's have
that's
those
beautiful.
conversations. Like, that's why I don't prepare questions. I've tried to prepare questions, cheers, but I never end up using them.
Dude, that's beautiful. That's perfect
But
picture right
yeah,
there.
no, Eccles was great. I mean, he, like it or not, he's the most famous occultist alive today.
I got his book right here.
And
Yeah, literally.
he's a much better role model than the 20th century's most famous occultist, who was Aleister Crowley. Like Damien Eccles crossed into mainstream awareness, so he's known. And to not talk,
Yeah.
like, I talked to him, I would talk to Aleister Crowley, man. Can you imagine, like, why would I not talk to
Yeah.
Damien Eccles?
No.
It just
I can see you talking to Crawley.
I
That'd be an
did,
interesting
I got in
conversation.
trouble for talking to him, but fuck it, I don't give a shit.
What you did?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people who don't talk to me anymore because I talk to him. Yeah.
Eccles?
I deleted all the comments that were bad under that interview. There was like many evil comments that got posted under there, and I just deleted them all.
Well, dude, who the fuck listens to your podcast other than magicians? That's what gets me. Like,
well, apparently the families of the murdered boys.
oh my, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, I just removed negative comments. I know a lot of people. It hurts me in the algorithm apparently, but like my thinking is like, I'm not gonna do it as much. Like, even though I can let it roll off my back, I'm just not gonna engage with my own creative process as much if I'm staring at a screen and seeing hate, right? So it's a productivity issue, right? It's a productivity issue. If I'm seeing hate for hate's sake or whatever, then I'm not gonna want to go do more content and stuff. So I just get rid of it. I just delete it.
Yeah, fuck it.
Unless
Yeah.
it's unless people are actually, unless there's actually a point being made. But if it's just like, this person's a liar and they should die, it's like,
Bullshit.
or
Hate mail, bunch of hate mail.
yeah, well, I
That's
get,
what
a
happened.
lot of people are just post like, hey Frater chud, you fucking faggot, you should die, like, stupid shit like that. I don't know,
Chud.
I don't really know who it is posting this stuff, but there's a lot of unhappy people out there, so
No shit. That's true. That's so
a
fucking
lot
true.
of it gets flagged for me by YouTube, actually, so I'm not actually hands-on doing it. A lot of it gets flagged but yeah, no, Eccles was a great conversation, and I love talking with his wife. I didn't know anything about her, and actually I'm reading her her letters now, because when you just think about the story, what an interesting, it's just, there's nothing not interesting. The whole thing is interesting, right? He's been messaging me a bunch about all this Mormon stuff and sending me cool little pictures of the talismans that Joseph Smith made and stuff like that. So
That makes me curious.
yeah,
Man.
we
What the
chat, and he's yeah, we'll see. It's
Yeah, the one biggest thing I picked up from. Go ahead.
I've got Dr. Sam Cannon coming back on the podcast, and he's a Mormon and a professor, and a magician, and a Mason. And so, we're going to do a deep dive into the Mormon stuff very soon, again. So it is very interesting that, I'm not into Mormonism at all, of course. Like,
dude, that like the Mormon thing throws me off because it seems a lot like Enochian, man. Let's go ahead and throw some sigil rings of stones into some hats so we can find out what. Dude, I don't know, man. I'm just talking shit because of the fucking shot.
It's not like Enochian. Well, I've been to Salt Lake City. I went through Salt Lake City on a business trip with my colleagues once. We had to work a convention in Vegas, and we stopped in Salt Lake City and like looked around, and it was an experience. It was really it was interesting. you know. And the fact that Joseph Smith was some kind of Solomonic magician, and
That's what, yeah,
getting the Book of Mormon through channeling, like they really were channeling or descrying it. They weren't just
right.
like, it wasn't an intellectual exercise. It was channeling.
Magic,
It was
magic.
it was some kind of magic.
Yeah,
Who knows what
exactly.
spirits they were listening to?
Right.
You can just go to a graveyard and open yourself up, and all kinds of
Dude,
crazy
yeah.
shit will come out. Do some automatic writing.
Yeah, most definitely, for
Yeah.
sure. I've been doing a lot of graveyard work recently with a friend of mine, Hunter Salazar, very chaos oriented magician. And yeah, it really opened me up to a lot of different aspects of graveyard work and working with the local dead as well. But I did a blood sigil casting in the graveyard recently, and then a shooting star came above me. I was like, oh, that's great. You know, I love
One of my buddies who I work with here in town magically, his day job, well, it's a night job, but his day job is at a crematorium. So that's made it a lot easier to get things like grave dirt and stuff. Like, he'll message me and be like, does the dirt need to be touching the grave, or could it just come off the body before I incinerate it? And I'm like, that's a really good question.
Holy shit, that's hardcore.
I've never had access to this kind of resource before,
dude. Yeah,
so
no shit.
I'll tell you some more stuff offline. But yeah, well, I want to try some of these workings that, there's some interesting stuff in the Verum that I want to try.
Bro, yes, I got, yeah.
You
Jake
know?
Stratton, Kent. I was
Yeah.
most of the conversations. I mean, I speak to Carol McCoy most than anything. His fiance before he went into what the stroke and everything that happened there. But yeah, no, like I purchased the Grimoire Verum, the True Grimoire, and from the Scarlet imprint. And
You read True Grimoire?
Yes, I have, but I've only read Joseph Peterson's edition. I do have.
Read the
I
Verum.
did order. Yes, and I did, but I did order the True Grimoire from Jake Stratton Kent, and that's primarily because I've been in contact with all three spirits that were in there. Like,
Are you talking about
so like? What's that? No, I'm I'm talking about Lucifer, Astaroth, and Beelzebub. And
what you'll find in the True Grimoire by Jake Stratton Kent is it's really interesting, because at the very beginning of it, he talks about the intermediary spirit, and you could almost miss it if you weren't really paying attention. But he informs you that calling this angel, there's this angel that you have to call, and this angel then gives you instructions on how to do some of the other stuff. So it's really nice to see that represented in his True Grimoire.
So you read it
cover to cover, and I read it very slowly, like at speaking speed, as I tend.
It's on my shelf.
Yeah, I couldn't put it down really, so I read it within a week, cover to cover, really absorbing it and referencing it. And it really makes you realize that if you want an introduction to the Goetia, that is the way to do it. Like, that is the book. If I was running a Golden Dawn temple still, I'd be like, when you're ready for Goetia after 5-6, when you're like 6-5 or whatever, whenever you're ready, I would just say, this is your textbook, the True Grimoire. That's what people should read to understand Goetia.
Yes, and that's and I'm like, dude, listening to the podcast, multiple podcasts that I've listened to, and reading Jake Stratton Kent's work, and the demand, even reading Jason Miller's Consorting with Spirits.
Is that good? That's the new one, right?
Yes, dude, it is great. I'm having my fiance read that, because it gives you an appreciation of how to speak to spirits from an unbiased aspect. Because, like, from what I see from the left-hand path, even the right-hand path, you lean too far left or right, man, and it's like it gives you a depreciation for one or the other, man. It's like, dude, like, if you're just to look at a spirit, man, and we're not going to call it demonic or angelic, you're to look at a spirit. see the spirit for what it is. Okay. How are you going to interact with that spirit? And if you're on a bias and you're like, say you come from a more right-hand path and you see it as demonic, which were primarily where I did come from. Okay. And I can admit that. You're going to come at it from a biased perspective. And because if you come at it from a biased perspective, the interaction that you may have with that spirit is going to fucking just be completely different. Whereas if you came from it from a neutral approach, okay, and learning my darkness, because that's where I'm sitting at with my daily practice. I'm bringing light to the darkness, and I could go into my daily practice and some of my daily ritual if you want to jump into that. But speaking to these spirits, these goetic spirits, from an unbiased approach and learning, like, dude, like these spirits have things that they need to teach us, man. And like, if we're willing to open up and understand what they're trying to teach us from an unbiased experience, from an unbiased approach, they do have a lot to teach us. Okay. And if we see them as lesser beings because they're not as celestial or they're not as, you know, what, holy or whatever the fuck. Okay. Like my whole approach and my whole experience with these spirits is it's changed. It's changed, man, from when I first was interested, because I looked at the Goetia, I looked at Beelzebub and even Samael. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is evil and shit like that, man. I really didn't say, get away from that, man. I was fucking born baptized Catholic. You know, what the fuck is this? This is evil, you know? Like, no, dude, like listening to different approaches, reading different books, and then actually stepping into the circle and speaking with these spirits opened me up to a whole different approach, a different aspect of where I come from. It opened me up to a layer of my own reality, of things that I may have been shunning, of things that I may have been pushing back. I can use the Jungian term shadow, okay, and maybe get a glimpse of what I'm really trying to speak about, okay. But when I opened up to these spirits, it really opened me up to the hidden parts of myself, and I really did come to find out different layers of my own being that I had kept hidden, that I had kept buried. And coming face to face with that and coming to speak with them and learning what they had to bring me into my own realization, really, it made me, it's still helping me become a more integrated, full being. I don't know if that makes any sense, man. Because you know, when we're speaking about occult matters and personal gnosis, you know, it's very hard to describe what's going on. But you know, like when I really come to speak with these spirits, they really just help me learn some pretty heavy, dark shit about myself. Okay. And like shed light and love. Love is love is the fucking key word to it all. As hippie as it sounds hippie as fuck. But love is in the light, love is in the dark, man. And if you don't give love to all that, if you don't give love to the positive and to the negative, to the yin, the yang, you're going to be an extremely imbalanced person in life if you're approaching this from a magical angle, in my experience. All right. That's just my experience. I can't speak for everybody else because, you know, we all have our own paths. We all have our own callings. We all have our own teachings. But I shunned my own darkness for the longest time. And I covered that a lot with drugs. I covered that a lot with escaping responsibilities, escaping shit that I needed to face. And when my demons, the goetic demon, whatever when Samael, Beelzebub, Astaroth, Belial, Asmodai, dude, a lot of them just really came in, man, and they were like, they all had a different thing to teach me. All right, but Beelzebub opened them all up. I mean, they call him Legion for a reason, man. Oh, fucking Lord, Lord of Flies. Like, that's how, dude, this is a cult, man. I can't fucking explain it. Beelzebub opened up basically the legion of goetic demons to start coming and integrating into my being. And I learned something from each and every one of them to shine my own light into the depths of my being, into my own understanding of who I am as a person, who I am as a spirit, so I can become more integrated and become more whole. And to be honest with you, Frater, that shit scared the living fuck out of me. It really did. Not just their appearance, but what they came to shed light on. Because some of that shit is scary as fuck, and we want to run from it.
Every angel is terrible.
Yes. It's like,
yeah,
pretty much.
For all those people reading letters to a young poet, folks, there's better stuff to read by Hrncir. Read the Dwina Elegia, the Dwina Elegies.
Or just go watch some football. All right.
No, read German poetry, man. Read German poetry. Like
Heinrich Heine, man.
Heinrich Heine. If you've never read some Heinrich Heine, read Heine. Fuck, man. He's amazing. Like, what's it? Ich weiß nicht, was soll es bedeuten, dass ich so traurig bin. Ein Märchen aus alten Zeiten kommt mir nicht aus dem Sinn. I don't know what it can mean that I am so tragically sad. A fairy tale from ancient times comes to me, but not from the senses. This is great poetry. It doesn't really sound good in English, but I'm sure you'll find
it. And that's what I found out, dude. German, because German, like, dude. Okay, so I studied German in
poetry.
In high school, I did a lot of German in high school. I don't remember shit from it now, but like, my favorite one was "Wer pisst dich Schlampen?" And that came from a little girl that was asking me a question and cussing me, right? But then I went to Germany. I went to Greiz. Oh God, I could tell you a ritual I did in Greiz, because the house family that I stayed with, they were like, "What the fuck is this guy into?" And I was deep into magic at that time. So I'll go into it, man. And and the house, like, I have my laptop. I'll show you the what the house father gave me, and you might be able to read it. Okay. So I mean, I could hold it there for you, or you maybe take a screenshot of it later. But so basically my whole experience in Greiz, because I went to Dresden, Greiz, but Greiz was where I stayed at mostly. And then I went to Berlin, then I went to Prague. This was all during high school, and the round trip and everything my parents paid for.
Cool.
But yeah, it was great. They took me to this shop that it was just, it was a witchcraft shop, obviously. And I got a cloak and everything there. I got like this nice shirt and everything, because I was going to do some rituals. I was like, guys, take me to the highest mountain that you guys have, right? And dude, this is a whole fucking thing with magic too. I'll tell you, this is an interesting experience as well. So they took me up onto the mountain.
Just don't ask them to take you to the biggest waterfall they have. Trust me. It is not impressive. I saw it, and it was like literally a rock in the middle of the river of the Rhine, in the Rhine. They call it the Rhine Fall, the Rhine Fall, the biggest waterfall in Europe. And I saw it, and I was like, where is it? And he's like, that's it. I'm like, that's just a rock in the middle of the river, and the water's going over the rock. He's like, that's the biggest waterfall. I'm like, it's literally just a rock in the middle of the river, and the water's going over the rock.
You were like, thank God I got to see this. This is great.
It's hard to compete with the wilderness that we have here in North America.
Oh my God. No,
Like,
yeah,
you
it's
know,
true.
where I live in British Columbia, like, don't talk to me about mountains. Trust me. Like,
No, even especially in the West.
you know, I grew up skiing at Whistler, man. Like, you know, most things after that are a letdown.
Shoot. But I do remember doing the ritual in Grites.
I don't know
I was,
Greiz. Why don't I know that place? Because I was
dude,
just a
it
couple
was
years ago. I was in Berlin and Leipzig. Greiz. I don't know Greiz.
it's close to
It's right near
close
there.
to Dresden. Yeah.
Small
Check
place.
it out. It's very small place, very personal, which is probably why the German exchange students decided to do it there as well. But yeah, I'd gone up there and I'd done the ritual, and it caused a thunderstorm. Right? I don't know why the thunder. I felt very disturbed. All right, that's the energy that I was picking up from the ritual that I had done. And I like turned over to my house brother. I was like, well, what happened here, man? He was like, well, do you see down there? And he pointed to this location that was like, about, I don't know what I don't know which air. I don't know if I was facing east, south. I don't know which area, but he pointed down there and to the ravine, which was like, below us. And he was like, well, they had a concentration camp down there. This is where they burned people at. And I was like, holy shit. Like, this is the energy that I'm picking up, man, because this energy that came in through the thunder was fucking intense, man. It was like, dude, no.
Intense.
Yeah.
Very intense.
Yeah, it was very intense. It was like, dude, fuck. Just screaming, just a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. And that's all I felt from the ritual itself, pretty much. And that was like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and close this now, and I'll leave this in peace. That was it, pretty much. That was my experience in Greiz in high school. So I was like, there we go. But I'm gonna show you this. Frater. Hold on. Oh my God. Damn, dude, my back. I'm fucking old. I don't know if you could see that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what my house father had given me. If you want, I don't know what it says. Yeah.
The old wall tapestry looks like it's parchment or skin. With
it's skin from a deer. Yeah.
On it, and yeah, I can't read this. It's too far away, but yeah, very, very beautiful. Yeah.
So my German house father had given me that because they basically were asking me like, "What the hell are you trying to do, dude?" I saw a dude waving wands around and shit. Like, it's fucking. They were just wondering like, what am I about? I was like, well, I told him, I was like, I don't know what the hell I told him at the time, but I was basically just trying to tell him like, you are God. At the time, that's what I was trying to tell him, like, hey, everything is God. You are God. Like, reach deep within yourself, find the truth hidden within your own being, like look into the dark of your own self and shine that light within to find your own Christ consciousness. In my own words today, but back then I was like, you're God. And I guess that whatever the words I used back then resonated with the family. And that's basically when the house father was like, all right, here's this. I was like, looked over at my house brother and I was like, does your dad usually give gifts like this to just random people? He was like, no, dude, he doesn't, man. You're getting something that means something, basically. And I was like, oh, okay. And I've kept that above my Egyptian altar ever since, man.
Yeah, very cool.
The altar I've had since high school. That altar,
So let's get to it. What is your daily practice like?
Oh wow. Hold on here. Wait, let me see. I actually wrote down my daily practice today. And give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay. All right. So my daily practice is,
Got
it's
your
kind of
tone
like,
right there.
yeah, this is, my little
I
ice. I
feel
don't know if you can
bad for
see.
people, man, who don't take having beautiful diaries seriously.
Oh, dude, I've got journals. It's like, these are my experiences that shape my life, and I've always kept these journals for the longest time. This is just something that I have to do personally, so I can look back on and see
These
what's
are my
gonna,
diaries just from the
bro.
Golden Dawn for 7 years.
Yeah, for 7 years.
Yeah.
See, that's great. That's
one per
great.
grade, and then a few extra ones for specialty practices like
That's beautiful,
shem work and Nokian travel diary.
dude.
But,
That's fucking beautiful.
well, and a volume of poetry.
You see, dude. No, man. Like, I dig it.
Yeah.
I really do dig it.
Poems.
No, yeah, like, dude.
Oh, look at that. That's old.
Yeah, it was just it's old as fuck.
These were discontinued. Canadian $1 bills were discontinued in like the 80s.
My God.
We switched to coins. Anyway, sorry for the show and tell for everyone listening.
Nah, brother, you good.
On YouTube.
So basically, my experience, my daily ritual is calling the circle into myself, and I stand in the middle of 4 altars: east, south, west, north. Each altar very symbolic of the deity that I'm working with, and I'll get into that in a bit. And then I speak out, Hekas, Hekas, Bebelais, away from me, profane, all that's profane. Then I say Gairon Karpo, which is like, this circle is mine. Then I face the north, and I basically do the short version of the Stele of Jew, which is like, Eoth, Abrioth, Basim, Isak, Sebeoth, Iaio, from the PGM, which is calling in the holy daemon. And then I say the short version of that, bringing into my holy daemon, this whole time breathing in, making sure that I'm connected. I'm right there. Everything is right above me. I'm feeling the energy from my HGA, my holy daemon is protecting. This is my energy. I am speaking now with what comes into my circle. Okay. Then I'll draw a sigil that was given to me by Paimon, and I'll go into that in a little bit as well. I'll draw the sigil above me from Paimon, which is almost like Gemini, but I drove my own little twist to it, and it's very symbolic of balance, light, dark. That's I'm Thoth Horus set. I am Horus set, both light, dark. Then I'll draw the same sigil below me, and I'll say, descendant Columba, ascendant Serpens, and from Malkut, from Kether, they will both join together in Tiferet, in my heart, my Anahata. And in my Anahata, that's when the compass spreads around my whole being. Then I begin my ritual. And then my ritual is commencing of me drawing a road opener, which is my own sigil, for drawing in the 4 kings: Oriens, Amemon, Paimon, and Aegean. And then these spirits open the communications for me to speak to all spirits. And that's what I ask of them through different names. And I draw upon those names from, like, the names that have authority over them. I draw upon them from Saint Cyprian, from the Clavis Inferni. Okay. So, like, Yahweh, Vahe, Alhim, Elohim, Shaddai, and Ashith. And then that's what opens up the communications. And Paimon was basically the one that opened up to that in my own dream. Like, I heard, dude, I when I was making contact with Paimon, I had this ringing in my ear when I was in dream state. And then I had the dream of the spirit coming to me and then dropping off the sigil. And that sigil to me is basically the epitome of my whole fucking practice. And if I were to put a sigil on it, it would be the yin yang. This is to keep it simple for every listener out there. Fucking yin yang. I like to simplify shit. All right. And then going into after calling in the kings, that's when I take my dagger, which has been consecrated, has my own sigils on it. And that's when I call in the princes. That's when I do an inverted pentagram ritual, calling in from each corner Beelzebub, Astaroth, Leviathan, and Belial. And then that's like I basically call in the serpent, the dragon, to bring in my energy, to make a force around me. And then right after that, I do the lesser hexagram ritual. And that's when I'm basically saying that I'm bringing light to the dark within myself. And that completes that. And during all of this time, I'm having candles lit around me and everything. And the archangel of the day, which today was Samael. So, from the Heptameron, because I needed a daily practice. And it all started from the Heptameron. It all started from the daily practice of each archangel. And for each archangel, I still have an altar dedicated to that I light daily for the most part.
Which version of the Heptameron do you use?
Dude, this is strange. So to me, the sun is Raphael. And that should pretty much explain the approach that I use, because to me, Mikhail is Mercury. And for some reason, that's how it works with me. And I could go deep into that from an experience that I had in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when my HGA made contact with me. And that was fucking life altering and very reality shattering. When I could go into that right after, but yeah, basically, dude, that really is the daily ritual. And during those whole times, I will burn the proper incense. Since it was today, since it was Mars, I did dragon's blood. Tomorrow, since it's Mercury, I'll be doing some sandalwood. And but in the beginning, the Heptameron, we're talking about the Elucidardium, right? Which version? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, look at that face. Yeah, that I pulled from a different version, making Mikhail more mercurial, while Raphael was more solar. And for me, that it changed. It changed because it was vice versa. But I noticed a shift when I switched. And the shift it's been intense, because I could say, like, the shift honestly opened me up to Helios, to Ra, Raphael. How these cultures do these things, man. You know how this is when you're actually in a circle. So it ignited my heart. It made me more active. It made me more masculine. I was like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna make some shit happen. It just changed the way that I perceived things, the way that I went about things, because I have spoken with Mikhail a few times, but I don't feel as close a connection with that angel in particular. Maybe because of sound, man. I don't know, man. I don't really know. I don't know how this stuff works. But I do know that the few instances, or the one in particular, I did feel Mikhail say, I hand you the sword. And this sword to me was like, okay, cool. Like, you give me something to fight back with. Okay. I have had various encounters with these angels. certain angels give me a different feel than others, you know, in particular. And I would say that Raphael for sure, Zadkiel, um, Azrael, Samael, Anael, Venus, and Gabriel have been the ones that have like just like, like here you go. This is what we're gonna do for you, so you can do for all of those around you. Like when I'm coming to work with the angels, Castiel too, you know, and I told you that experience with Castiel. Um, these angels, just it's different, man. It's really different working with the angels versus the terrestrial spirits. The terrestrial spirits, I seem to feel more of like they're there to help you with your own shit, to like help you become a better person in general. Whereas the celestial spirits are like there to affect everything around you. I don't know if that makes any sense, man.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, most spirits I work with, I generally get the feeling like they have their own stuff going on, and there's often a sense of slight imposition or interference, like unless I do things a certain way. But if I'm interrupting them, I'm interrupting them, you know. And
Yeah.
some of them seem more busy than others. Some of them
Yeah.
seem more busy than others. And yeah, they're very unique. That's the one thing. It's for sure. It's like, you know, they're not the same. What I have found interesting recently is, while working with different spirits, I find like my focus on them does impact the way they play out in my life. So I was working a lot with a Shem angel, helping me write a book I'm writing and putting together some methodologies. I got to be vague.
Which one? Which Shem angel?
Oh yeah, well I'm still working. The work is still ongoing, so I'm not going to mention it.
This guy, I have something in my head.
Well, you and me can talk, you know, sub
right.
rosa after. But I had done previous work with a different Shem angel, and I really needed that Shem angel's help with what I was doing currently. And so I brought that one back. I just pulled out a talisman that I had wrapped up and put away, because you know you don't have to have them on you to have them working. But as soon as I pulled it out, I was curious to see if it still was sort of had a charge. You know, I can contact the spirit, of course, just directly, but I was curious to see if this talisman still had a charge, and it did. It was very juicy, let's say, and bright and brilliant, and it still is right over there. Like I can, you know, I like to think it's pretty easy to notice when they have worn out or run out, or they're not.
It's dead. It's dead.
Yeah, you know,
it's dead. There's nothing from it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that's not a problem. You can just work with the spirit again. Again, you don't even need to make a talisman if you can access the spirits directly. But talismans can be helpful. And anyway, so I went to pull on this previous Shem spirit to get its influence more, and the other one just seemed to sort of fall off. Like it just, you know, it's like I could only handle so much influence, so I wasn't able to have them really work in tandem and helping me with multiple things at once. It's really been quite a shock to realize that, you know, when I focused on the previous one, that it was hard for me to then do the work I was doing with the other one. And that's interesting. You know, people don't talk about this sort of stuff very often, because we're getting into the weeds, as
right.
they. But you know, and I have no answers. This is me and
fuck no. No.
We don't really know how any of this stuff works. I always find it so ridiculous when people start focusing less on the practice of these things and more on trying to figure out how it all works. I'm like, here's the thing, in my opinion. If you're gonna find out how magic works, assuming we're not all fucking insane and making this shit up, which we're clearly not, you know, like assuming we're not all mentally ill, wink, wink.
No shit.
Wait, don't lose it. Don't slip it.
You got this.
It's like fucking Snape pulling out memory out of my head. What was I saying?
Shem Angels Frater. One had one thing to say.
These podcasts always get these things always get the best in the third hour, don't they? That's when it's like you run out of all the pre-scripted shit that you normally say to someone, or the stuff that you're just dying to get out there. And in the third hour, it's like, damn, are we just talking now? I think so. And it's like, oh,
we've been talking this whole time, man.
As soon as you get into the third hour, it's like the energy shifts, and it's like we're just talking now. Yeah, you know, maybe we were all along, but who knows?
Basically, we were going along the lines of the occult and how some people see things set in stone, and how like your experience, even my experience,
has shown
you something different.
When people turn aside the practice and start figuring out how the practice works, like, so magic's a thing. Like we there's ways to, we have remote viewing and all these different phenomena that, governments may or may not still use. Right. Probably are. If we're going to figure out how magic works, it's not going to be through spirituality.
This is interesting.
Spirituality is not going to teach us how magic works. If magic works, it'll be something like physics that figures it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So the idea of us trying to figure out how this stuff all actually works and what the mechanisms of the universe is using spirituality, it doesn't make any sense to me, because it's just not empirical. It's not empirical. It's completely experiential, or at best or worst, arguably, communal. So, we're not going to be the ones to figure out how this shit works.
No.
And it's a little, I find it always laughable when people try to use spiritual means to uncover.
Dude, it's like gambling.
Physical truths. Like, I don't consider spirits to be spiritual, really. I consider them to be physical. We just don't understand what the physics of them are.
Yeah, God, yeah.
Right. We don't understand. And for that matter, we don't understand what the physics of matter is.
No, which goes into like black hole, wormholes.
Yeah.
Dude, bro. Yeah, no, I get that. And as far as the scientific formula behind magic, in my experience, dude, there is no fucking formula, man. You could come up with your own formula and then have the results land in your lap, dude. Like my thing recently, and I did a Jupiterian, right? A little over a year ago. I don't like talking, but I will, man, whatever. I asked for money, I need some money, man. And then my grandma ended up passing away, left me a huge, decent sized inheritance that set me on the path where I'm at now, dude. It gave me enough money to do what I need to do. But the way we word these things, the way we speak, when you're doing magic, man, be careful about how the hell you ask for the shit that you want in your life, because it's gonna happen. All right, it's gonna happen, especially if you believe it. You give that damn energy into it. Shit's gonna happen. Shit's gonna get wild too, and you're not gonna know how or why things happen the way that they did, but you know that what you asked for ended up coming into your reality, ended up manifesting. And that's just one of the experiences that I've had recently with magic. I mean, I could go on about a lot of different ones too that ended up happening. A lot of them didn't end up happening the way I didn't really want them to, but they got me to where the hell I needed it to be. I had to go through a lot of shit to get to where it needed to be. And that's magic for you, man. Like, it's fucking, you bring that shit into your reality the way that you ask for it. You give that energy out into the universe, and you let them know, casting your sigils into the air, however you need to, speaking into those spaces in between onto the stars. And dude, it opens up portals into your reality to where the other side will see where you're trying to bring in. And then that's when you get them visualizations of how you perceive things to be, whether it be through divination, whatever. And basically what I'm trying to say is magic, and the way that you do your magic is going to change your reality and the way that you perceive things, because it brings things in. And it brings things in so many different ways that be precise. Be precise.
At least you
with
didn't
your magic.
Do the ritual with the intention of killing your grandma for your inheritance.
Oh, fuck no. Never.
What do you mean never? People do that all the time, man.
Oh, yeah.
Have you read John R. King the Third?
No.
Oh, he's hardcore goetic magician. He's actually worth reading. He's very much worth reading. I mean, a spirit told him where he could find hidden treasure or gold, and he found a gold mine. And then people started shooting at him and it turns out it's a legit California gold mine, and he gives you the directions to find it yourself. And the state knows about it, and it's just there for anyone who wants to pan or get it. But there's some like gangster types around it who guard it because they want it. And anyway, so he seems to have quite a skill with magic. But in his book I read, what's it called? I can't remember, but it's got a strange name. He did magic for a client who I think owned a jewelry store or something like that, but wanted their inheritance from their mom, but their mom wasn't dying, so they wanted help to speed along their mom's death. So he did a ritual for them, and then the mom died, and he got to take. The deal was that the guy got the inheritance, but the John R. King, the magician, got to take over the guy's jewelry business or something like that. But I read it like 3 times because I'm like, did he literally just say he did magic to accelerate this guy's mom's death so they could make money? And it's like, yeah, that's what he said, and it worked. So,
Yeah, no, well,
I don't want to say more power to him in that case, but another
right. Yeah,
another interesting.
Hey, dude, good for you. Magic works, right? It's fuck is that about? I don't know what the dude, that shit like that throws me off. But then again, look, Fred, I've never been in. I don't know if that guy was in a situation where he was hurting for money. I've personally never been into that situation. I feel like I've been blessed in that aspect my whole life.
Another interesting thing that the goetic spirits told John R. King III is about like the non-existence of Jesus and the non-divinity of Jesus and all that, which is interesting because this author is also a Mormon, was Mormon, I believe. And so that was interesting to hear, because I think it was goetic spirits as well that told Edward Kelly that like Jesus wasn't a thing, and sort of deny and mock the existence of Christ, which is something that it's pops up quite a few times amongst spirits, magicians claiming that these spirits don't recognize Christ. So that's an interesting one for me. I find that very fascinating.
That throws me off a bit too, because we're speaking about Christ or Jesus from the Bible. Because when it comes to Jesus from the Bible, the whole Council of Nicaea throws me off, and the portrait of Constantine, or that throws me off, and that's what goes.
Times.
That's what throws me off personally. The energy of Christ, I can honestly say, through my experience, I feel like I know through personal gnosis. All right, now that doesn't mean much to anyone else other than myself, obviously, just like it should any magician, really. But as far as him being a physical being, I can sit here and say like, well, yeah, aren't we all Christ? I mean, aren't we all that light? Aren't we all that spark of the divine within ourselves that's yet to be unearthed? Like, so I mean, when it comes to Jesus Christ and the whole virgin birth, that takes me back to Isis and not finding the phallus of Asar, and like, here's the birth of Horus.
What about the bodily assumption of Mary into heaven?
Dude, I don't know that's Gnostic, right?
No, that's Roman Catholic doctrine. Mary
What?
bodily was taken to heaven. Like, can you imagine? She's like walking along, humdy dum, like sucked up. Like,
what was that? What was that in? What book?
That's the best part. It's just true. It's not in a book.
Yeah, I get what idea. That sounds amazing.
It's not true. And if you disagree that it's true, we got these guys over here who can take you out to the desert and,
perfect.
Crucify.
I believe it. I believe in Sophia. Okay, I'm good. All set. Sophia. Okay. Like, I believe in the divine feminine, animus. She was ascended, of course. Sophia. We go into the topic of the Gnostic, Yaldabaoth. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yaldabaoth. Oh God, it's interesting how we've taken these egregores, these etymologies, these ideas, and twisted them to serve our needs. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. It's like I feel like that our own energy that we've created through these things have kind of like shaped and misshaped these energies. Just as an example, okay? And I want to be respectful here. I wanted to call Beelzebub Baalzebub, the original name that this energy went by, because this energy to me has been with me since the cradle. This energy to me has been known to me as the energy that's watched over me basically my whole life. And when I wanted to call this energy Baalzebub, the energy spoke to me and said, no, that's not how I came to you. I came to you as Beelzebub. I came to you as the Lord of Flies. And I was like, well, why? Because this is how man has come to know me. And that shit, dude, I don't know how to fucking describe it, but that shit made me cry. Like, that's how we perceive that spirit, and that's how we fucking I don't know, man. It sort of like
you're talking almost like we've sort of been debasing the kings of the earth.
Yes, because we've taken away from the original meanings of these gods, of these energies that spoke to us so long, because we've smashed their monuments, because we bastardized their names.
We corrupted them, and then we act like they're the ones who are corrupted.
Yes. And that shit throws me off, man.
It should. It
throws me off because
it's what we call in academia a hermeneutic problem.
It fucks personally it fucks with me because I'm very empathetic, and like it's just like, and that's why I feel personally with my own practice, I'm bringing the light to the darkness. And I feel like that this darkness are these spirits that have just been fucking cast out and like just made something to be that they're not. And I'm not looking at it from a left-hand path angle, man. I'm looking at it as like, these are the aspects of ourselves that we shun because we are taught to shun that due to the whole fucking conglomeration of what we call organized religion to this day. And I think that has extremely imbalanced us as a unity, as a whole, as as Gaia, as Earth. All right, because you, me, the person that you see day to day on the street, they're part of that stream of consciousness that is essentially you. You're looking at you. I'm looking at me. Even right now, even though we may not perceive it like that, I see it that way. I see the divine. I see the aspect, all of the dark, all of the light within you. I don't know what you've been through. I know that you've been through some shit. I know I've been through some shit, but I
Oh no, man!
respect that.
Smooth sailing
You know
all
what
the
I
way
mean?
with me.
You get what I'm getting at,
I'm
though,
just a
right? I feel.
happy camper.
Of course you are. Yeah.
To quote Patrick Bateman.
Of course you are. Aren't we all? Yeah. You know, it's a fucking Patrick Bateman. That's it's fucking great. Fucking psycho, man. You know, it's great. But I mean, that's legitly how I see it, man. And it really took me delving into my own darkness, into my own being, into my own self, and discovering the shadowy aspect through I hate to call him goetic daemon. You know, I had to put a label on this Solomon. I don't like it. It feels condensed. It feels labeled. It feels consolidated.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because what you're experiencing this with these energies, with these spirits, you know, in particular, Astaroth, you know, coming to find out that that's Astarte, that's Ishtar, that's yeah, Shera. You know,
this is Yahweh, Mrs. Yahweh.
Mrs. Yahweh, fucking damn right. Like, where did we get like where?
That was what they told us in seminary. How they knew that Yahweh had a wife is because archaeologists have found graffiti that where like Mr. Yahweh is boning Mrs. Yahweh. Like, you know, there's a big talk and it says
the Ashera poles.
We have found this in graffiti. So it's like, yeah, people, that tells us that it was a common view that Yahweh had a Mrs. Yahweh. Because if Yahweh didn't have a Mrs. Yahweh, there wouldn't be graffiti making fun of them boning.
Bro, and that all just goes back really
way back to like prior to the first temple, to the era of hill shrines. Like, you know, early Israel had hill shrines, and that's, you know, the high place. You'd go up to the hill shrines, and there wasn't just Yahweh being worshipped at these hill shrines. There was, you know, a variety of beings. Like, they weren't really monotheistic.
No, and none of this ever came from monotheism. Look at the Enuma Elish, then base it off of what we have as Genesis in the Tanakh. All right, what happened there? Okay, obviously something was adopted, and the Elohim, you know, the gods. Like, it's just, what is going on here, man? And what is people don't care. They're told what they're told. They believe what they believe, and then they're just sheep, man. And I hate to say it that way because, dude, some sheep. I hate to say sheep. I don't like that fucking word either. It's label. Look, some people are okay.
You should use a less hostile term.
You're right.
Just call them NPCs.
Damn, that's pretty fucking hostile, this motherfucker.
There's nothing insulting about that term, calling someone a non
NPC, right?
I can't believe that that's become a popular thing, because I'm an old school gamer. Like, I mean, pen and paper gaming, right? I'm not a video gamer. I'm an old school gamer. Like, you know,
I've seen your posts on Instagram.
Yeah, 89.
The board games.
89 was when I started playing D&D every day, and you know, the idea of calling a person, a real life human being, an NPC is so mean. It's so fucking mean.
Dude, no shit.
We all get it. But we all get it because we all see the lemmings.
The Matrix.
There's people that behave like lemmings. And I don't know why. And as an Aquarius, I feel like somehow it's my responsibility to help them, though God knows how. Um, you know,
Right.
yeah, you see them on the bus, just zoned out, going to their Mick job, going back to their Mick home to live their Mick
Yeah.
life and die. And they don't seem awake. They don't seem awake at all, or they don't seem like, to put it in biblical terms, they don't seem like they're living life abundant, as St. Paul said. And that makes me
Correct.
sad
That's
because I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe you come back to this place. I believe you have one life, and you should
no.
live
How
that.
many deja vu experiences have you had?
Oh, don't even get me started.
So what the fuck do you mean? Like you don't believe in that? Go explain. Just based off of that.
Well, deja vus I find tend to happen for me when I'm doing things that I really feel that I'm supposed to be doing. When I'm pursuing a course in
That
life that I just like, I don't even have time to think about what I'm doing. Like my last European tour in 2018, 2019, when I lectured at a culture in Berlin, then I, did other stuff in Berlin, then I did stuff in Leipzig, and then I was lecturing in Prague, then in England, at London at Canterbury University. And that whole time, constant deja vu. But I also didn't have time to think about what I was doing because I was so busy doing it. Like it was a lot of work to do that sort of
but
shit.
that deja vu though,
It
didn't
felt like everything
it
I was
made you
doing I'd
feel
already done all the time.
yes.
And
That's what I'm getting at. Like
yeah.
you've done it before, Frater.
But
Whether it's on fucking Earth or
when
not,
I'm
like does that matter?
like, since COVID happened, I've had probably zero deja vu. Zero. Yeah,
What?
absolutely.
Damn, that's crazy.
Maybe literally zero. Maybe literally not one deja vu. Maybe, possibly. I mean, there might have been a few, especially early on, because of a relationship I was in that very much did feel meant to be.
Yeah.
But I can't really recall. That was 20 years ago in regular mental time, given lockdowns, and let's, I'm so that doesn't, what does deja vu have to do with fucking reincarnation?
Bro, okay, that's a really great question.
Is
The
this
whole thing
some
about
is this some great has all your studying, your intense studying of dumbbells
yeah,
and
yeah.
tire curls, like
Pre-workout, yeah, that's what it
taught you
is.
some mystery that I've missed in all my wasted time of reading books and spiritual practice?
Not at all. This all has to
Dude.
do with just I know you're fucking with me. It's great though. I love it. All I can say is about how I feel about personal experience, my own personal intuition.
Yes.
And when I have a deja vu moment, it has to do with how I felt like I've been here. I've done this before. Whether it's here, whether it's on a different planet. Sometimes I feel like when I'm in a deja vu moment that I've done this on multiple planets at the same time. And I don't know how to describe that experience. That experience is intense. It's like I have doppelgangers, maybe on the Arcturian or whatever the fuck, the Pleiadian, the star seed, whatever the fuck. Okay. I'm sure you've heard about all the fucking galactic federations that are out there ready to come with their starships and shit. But as much as I would like to,
I can answer those questions. I have a guide I channel to answer those questions. Hold on, let me just channel Matthias De Stefano.
Yeah.
All right, Matthias De Stefano is now residing in me. What do you want to know about Atlantis? I'll sing a song about Atlantis.
Please do.
Oh my god, I'm gonna lose some subscribers from this. I know, man. No, that's fucking nonsense. Like star seeds. Maybe they are star seeds. I don't.
I love it. I fucking love it.
That gets you going, man.
How does that help you here? Where are you on? Are you over there? Are you in the Pleiadian? Are you on Beetlejuice right now? Like That's great. Okay. My experience though with the deja vu and having those multiple feelings that I'm doing this on the same planet while I've also done this at the same time, been here in the same place, gives me personally some inclination that I've been here before, I've done this before. Whether reincarnation is on this planet Earth or not, I don't know. It feels like it's been on different planets. The visions that have been given to me have different beings on those planets. Now that could be because I've watched Avatar too many times. That could be because maybe we watched too many Walt Disney movies. Who fucking knows? All right, who knows what gets implanted into our subconscious to how we feel about these things? All I do know is that the feeling that I do get from these deja vu experiences let me know ahead of time that I can prevent a time shift, that I can prevent a time skip, that what lies ahead of me is entirely up to some of the experiences that I shape for myself. And that being said, it scares the shit out of me, but at the same time, it lets me know like I need to be a lot more attentive of how I pursue and how I go about what lies ahead, because this is going to affect my future. Now, how that boils down to reincarnation, that's a really good question. Now you got me questioning that shit. I don't know if that has anything to do with reincarnation.
Well, you think about it. Let me know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I felt like I had something, but then you just had me, go into those things.
Yeah.
The whole idea of me feeling like I've been there, like I've done that before. That's what leads me into believing the whole reincarnation aspect. Through deja vu alone. All right. The whole astral experiences that I've had through out of body experiences also lead me to believe that these bodies really just are avatars, whether we're on Earth or whatnot. And through my own experiences, through vision, through the astral experiences, through my astral initiations, or an initiation, initiations. Yeah, I guess I have been. Okay. It just leads me to believe that we hop from fucking avatar to avatar. Whether avatar is a star, and you can be reincarnated as a fucking star. It can be, so I mean, whether or not that's
just like Chad Kroger.
Yeah, hell yeah. I don't know about that story, but I'm gonna agree with it.
He's a star, right?
Like, dude, let me tell you, man. Dude, when I was so into my own shit back in fucking high school, man, I remember walking, like I was doing a lot of magic at the time, and I was following the stars at night like the Chaldeans do, and the birth of Christ. I was like, hey man, this star's taking me here, this star's taking me over there. Let me go follow this one. And it led me to a group of children, man. Dude, and I was so into my own shit at the time. I was like, children of the night, like, what art thou up to? And I was so poetic, and oh my god, they were like, nothing. They're like, nothing, bro. From what I remember, man, this is back fucking years ago. I don't remember, but I was like, preaching to them about God and how they're God, and I pointed up to the sky, and then the star above me twinkled and like lit up, and I was like, you see that? That's me, man. Like, y'all are out there too. Like, then I worked at a fucking movie theater above that serving popcorn and shit, right? And they were like, hey, look, it's Jesus. They called me Jesus. And I do have that whole long hair fucking
Yeah. You're
right. Just do experiences like that. I mean, you just gotta love. But the whole deja vu back into reincarnation. If we feel like we've been here before and we've done this before, like what other what is that exactly? What is that?
Well,
what
I find deja vu and dreams to be one of the most interesting things. It's why I talk to, people like, that fucking nut job, Daniel Rekshan, who's using Enochian magic to talk to aliens and do dream work. I'm joking.
Dude, hold on.
I'm just fucking.
Is that the dude who did the podcast in the car?
No. That was an old one. Oh my god. No, he was a fellow. No, I had Daniel Rekshan on, and I'm just dissing him because he lives 10 hours down the road from me in British Columbia, and so I'm taking the piss in case he's listening. But no, he's like I love the fact that people are exploring dreams and deja vu more and more seriously, and science is starting to understand the brain more. So we might actually get some real answers, because deja vu, prophetic dreams, prophecies in general, dreaming things long before they happen. I have dreams. I have so many dreams, probably more than I can count, that I thought were just dreams. And then like 5, 10, 15 years later, they occurred. And I'm like, holy shit. Like I've had dreams that were nightmares. And I'm like, wow. Thank God my life will never be in that situation. Next thing you know, 20 years later, guess what?
Yep.
I'm living that nightmare. What the fuck is that?
Dude.
And I have more I can say on that, but how about we save it for, we'll do a little bonus Patreon clip. So we'll wrap things up here and do a little bonus segment for my patrons.
For sure.
Yeah?
For sure. My internet connection is unstable, apparently.
Well,
so I caught whatever I caught the last bit of the dream work and like the connection thereof and bringing it into your reality later. And I caught that. And I will say this.
You should just use the headless rate to fix your internet, like Allison.
Allison Shikoski?
Yeah, isn't that what the headless rate's for? Is for fixing internet in your dryers, washer.
Abrioth basim Isaac Sebeoth Iaio. Subject to me all daemons, so that every daemon, whether heavenly or aerial or earthly or subterranean or terrestrial or aquatic, might be obedient to me, and every enchantment and scourge which is from God. Of course, I got to breathe on it, man. It's the Ruach HaKadosh. That's the prana. So there we go. Maybe it's connected, or maybe it just disconnected.
Well, so thank you for being on the podcast, Gary. It's been wonderful having you. People, if they want to find you, can find you at the gym pumping iron. You don't have like you're not. If you, I don't know if you sell anything or promote any product, you're welcome to let them know. Pretend you just ate a bunch of spicy hot wings.
No. I do have a YouTube page that I'm trying to work on more. It's Thothor said on nutrition and just like.
You want to say that more clearly, like loud and clear for people?
Yeah, hold on, because I haven't worked with that page in a while. I do plan on doing a lot more with that page.
Well, I'll just link it below. But okay. Yeah. It's so thanks for being here. We'll do a little Patreon section now, but this has been awesome, man. Fucking A, and everyone, thanks for listening. Please check out, what I don't have a spiel. I'm so bad at the spiel. Follow on Spotify, give me a review on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to HERMETICpodcast.com for tons of bonus and ad-free content. Find me on Patreon /Hermetic Podcast. And see you on Patreon. Thanks. All right. Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.